Okay. G'day, guys. Thanks for coming on to the Crema and Grind podcast, and started well already.
Off with a bang.
Well, g'day, Aaron. Thanks for coming on, and Lachlan.
You're welcome.
Thanks for having us.
It was awesome. Nice to have you boys come to the studio and see it here at Being Acupuncture, and also Maverick Hair and Art Space. It's pretty cool, isn't it?
What a space.
It is really nice.
Yeah, I'm pretty lucky to have a quick setup like this, so especially to get it started.
Yeah, for sure.
And all to ourselves too.
I know.
That's pretty good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Be a bit hard having people walking around out there when we're doing this.
Showing their fancy hairs.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
Showing the hairs.
Yeah, I don't really know what goes on in the world of people with hair. Like, it's all a bit of a mystery to me. Yeah.
So, Anatole,
Yes.
elaborate.
And
What's the name? How did you get this?
Ah, nice.
me in.
Anatoly. It's pronounced Anatoly. I believe my parents, mainly my mother, she liked Anatoly. I think she was an author. I think it was French, but it was spelled Anatole, but it's actually quite prominent in Russia. So you'll see a lot of Anatoly Kolonishnikov.
Yeah,
Okay, maybe not the gun. Hunt for Red October. But yeah, you'll actually, when you watch a lot of films or Russian characters, it'll be Anatoly, like Hunt for Red October.
Yeah,
There's
right.
an Anatoly,
Ah.
but they spell it with a Y usually. But yeah, so mom liked Anatoly, dad liked Antonio, and so it somehow goes to Antolio, and then so yeah. But yeah, it's my parents just liked it from an author and used that. I got Anna as a kid and hated that, and then that's why I kept saying Tolly, and everyone's like, "What? How do you say Tolly?" So yeah,
Yeah.
that's the origins, I guess.
Cool.
Yeah,
I'm not even going to divulge what my last name is.
Oh, here we
during this
go.
podcast. No,
Here we
it's-
go.
come on.
You got to do it now.
I built it up. Yeah, I built
You've
it
given
up.
us the bait.
Can't.
Can't.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a real surname.
Yeah, it's a real thing. Well, you can imagine what
I thought the same thing.
Yeah, you can imagine what I got at high school. Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit over. I haven't decided on another one though yet. You know?
Yep.
I haven't. Yeah. It's pretty hard when choosing your own name. It's more than like choosing a tattoo. You know, it's kind of like you're stuck with it for a while. You want to make sure it means something to you. You know.
Yeah.
But what did you choose? And then you
Oh,
found out.
yeah, I haven't chosen anything yet. Yeah. I liked Wilesmith, which is one of my grandparents' name, but Wiles, which I thought generally just meant intelligence and canniness, actually means being slightly like manipulative, like being clever with people,
Oh, right.
being wily, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Wilesmith is probably someone who's just a
Sounds like a westerner.
Works
A
at
western movie
manipulating.
almost.
I don't know, just a cluey, sneaky
Sneaky.
Con man by
Yeah.
trade, like blacksmith, the wild
And by name.
Yeah, just smithing those wiles all the time. Yeah. Pounding them out.
They got to come from somewhere.
That's it.
Someone's gonna do it. Yeah. So where'd you come from, Tolly? Where were you born in?
Myself, I was born in New Zealand.
Mm.
So Wellington.
That's that little accent.
You got a slight one.
New Zealand,
very,
There's a
very
bit of a
slight.
tang.
Yeah.
A few more
Yeah.
Savetas, and then look out. A
Bit fragrant.
bit more bros,
Yeah.
Yeah.
bit more cousins. But born in New Zealand, raised there, kind of loved it. Loved the All Blacks, got into all the sports there. And then about 7 or 8, just went to, parents decided to go to Australia. And that was the ruining of our childhood.
Whoa.
But no, it was. But we came over and we couldn't swim. Me and I got 2 other brothers, and we didn't even know how to swim properly. I remember doing a swim class in like year 1 in New Zealand, but we were just dog paddling.
Yeah,
So
really.
it took us a little bit of practice to get used to the weather, and also just the lifestyle of Gold Coast is quite different.
Yeah.
And then went to schools; it was quite different. The accent was pretty thick,
Yeah, I can
pretty
imagine.
thick, bro.
Fuck.
And then just grew up like that, and went to a local school around here, and then went to a Christian school. Then after teenage years, went to Sydney and stayed there for about 12 years.
Yeah, nice.
So yeah.
Are your parents religious at all?
Well, no, not really. No, no.
Yeah, okay.
Lockie and I both found out we come from religious backgrounds.
Super religious.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Like cultish religious.
Like I was a youth
Are you serious?
pastor till I was like 18.
You were
And
Really?
Then I got told to
a
find
youth pastor.
youth pastor.
Wow.
Then I got told.
Imagine him telling young people advice.
These days it wouldn't happen.
It wouldn't happen.
Well, it would, but it just
Well,
Yeah,
well,
you
that's
know
a
better, but you know
transition. That's a
nothing now.
massive transition.
pretty full on.
Oh,
Hey,
dude, it's a big transition when you go through it. It's
So
like
you both.
oh
have-
yeah, it's majorly life changing that when you go through that. Yeah,
because your worldview is so skewed. Like you've
it
only
would
got
be.
such a small
It's
bubble
like
of
an
knowledge.
insular. Yeah, exactly. You've got
Mm.
that small world.
Yep.
With everybody having the same beliefs,
Mm.
and you're tortured if you have a.
And they're the
different
only
belief.
people you
Oh,
can hang
yeah,
out with
man.
as a kid.
yeah,
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't know any different at all.
Nah.
It's not anyone's fault.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's
Wow.
pretty
That's
full
a
on.
that's a pretty. So what? So how did that all stop?
Oh, dude.
Well, for me, when I turned 18,
Hmm.
18th birthday was the first time that I ever had a beer, or not had a beer, but got
just,
drunk.
Just had one beer and it was all just over.
Bam, bam.
No, no,
I'm done with this religion stuff. It's over.
I'm done. This beer is my savior now.
Oh.
At least the beer is real.
Yeah.
Well, but it was like a realization, kind of like like what else is out there? What have I not been involved in? What have I not engaged with?
Yeah.
And it just became my journey of like researching and finding out what I didn't know,
Yeah.
because like I'd assumed that alcohol was a terrible thing. Like it's kind of what I got raised to believe.
Mm.
And then when I saw it wasn't exactly that bad, like it was just something, an
Did you-
aid.
Yeah.
You know,
Gateway drug.
that's
Well,
exactly what
That's
isn't.
that's a
That's
real
story
big
for another
rant.
time.
We can
Gateway
we,
to
we can
apostasy.
Yeah. So from that, my youth pastor, like my senior person,
Mm.
took me out, like, because I was having a good time with my friends at the time, going out, having a few drinks. I got taken out.
We got a phone.
I'm on silent.
It's up there, is it?
Is it?
Just ditch that. Just
Yeah.
chuck it in that pot plant over there.
We done.
We don't need
It's,
that.
it's,
Sorry,
it's
guys.
over.
Get out of here.
So your pastor took you out.
And she told me that I had to find new friends or I couldn't be doing what I was doing.
Oof.
Yeah, so it was just like a blunt thing that. And
Isn't that ironic though? But because Jesus hung out with prostitutes and all that.
yeah, like it honestly didn't make sense to me. It was like freshly 18, kind of had a good view on the world, and then I got told this, and yeah. So
That's
that was,
pretty heavy.
Oh, it
Like,
was
how
so
did you
heavy.
feel?
Oh, I was cut. I was destroyed because that was like
That was your whole
everything that I
world.
knew.
Yeah, man.
Exactly.
I'd like just imagine
it
if
was
you
like, do it.
invested all of your money into this company for like 15 years. You know, like every dollar you had on this, and then you find out the company's not even real. You've been scammed.
Yeah.
But it's
Or
not
they're
just
just,
your
like,
money.
doing
It's just
something
all your
else.
time. You're putting your whole life into something. Yeah. I was heavily into it because I figured, like if this shit's real, because when you're a young, organism, a mammal, you believe what your parents tell you.
Oh,
and,
for
and
sure.
it's like a biological shortcut because you have to stay alive. If your parents say, hey, don't swim in the river, there's crocodiles there. You just believe them straight away and that saves your life.
Yeah.
And then they tell you all this other stuff which doesn't make sense. Like, oh, this great man in the sky made the whole world 6,000 years ago, Because you're a kid, you're just biologically wired to believe them for your own safety.
Yeah.
And it's not till you start to grow up that you're like, what? That doesn't really make sense. Can you explain that one again?
Yeah.
And then it's like
Yeah.
also like socially enforced, like your whole family believes it, all your family's friends believe it. You're in this sort of like community, which is like reinforcing that, they're all holding up the illusion, so to speak. So yeah, it is when you lose it, you don't only just lose that, you like everybody wants to know where they are in the world, who they are, what is the world, where did it come from, where are we going? We need to orientate ourselves with these questions, and it's pretty tempting when someone just comes along with a package full of answers,
It was just you don't have to do the thinking. Someone's done it for you.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then I guess we all gravitate towards that leader. Whether it's in anything, any specialty,
anyone who looks like they knows what they're doing.
Exactly. Yeah, especially like any specific skill set, you're going to launch to that, and it's really interesting. So you go, please give me the answers, so I don't have to fail, which is silly. That's part of learning.
And if it comes from somewhere else, you're not held responsible. Like
that's very
there's
true.
no I don't know what the right word is.
So for me, the beginning to the end was Microsoft and Carter.
Microsoft and what?
Encarta. You know,
You
remember
remember that?
the
I
old...
vaguely
you
Was that the
remember it.
encyclopedia?
yeah, it's the Encyclopedia Britannica.
On
Yeah, I remember that one.
See,
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
did. This
Hey,
is before
hey,
the
hey,
internet. Like,
I'm-
we're that
I'm older than you
generation.
boys.
Yeah.
I didn't have the disc became many years later.
Yeah.
That was a late edition in my late 30s.
Yeah, I mean,
I was doing Braille. I was doing Braille at the time.
you're just
All we had
chiseling,
was slate pads.
Yeah.
chiseling runes out of a slate.
Babylonian numbers, the Egyptian Babylonian numbers.
Do you guys speak Latin?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Encarta,
Yeah,
I vaguely remember
yeah.
being at school now, and I
man,
can see
because,
that
I mean, like when
it
you're in
was so
that,
boring.
yeah. When you're in that environment where you're trying to rationalize everything because we're rational, we have to be like, and it's got us out of the fucking ocean and out of the trees, and now we're flying shuttles to the moon. Rationality and logic, and reason. It's not everything, but it's powerful and it's important.
Mm-hmm.
It's what separates us from the monkeys. Well, not by far. We're not we're not as far off as we think.
A few changes.
Especially in tweed.
Few changes.
Tweed breed.
No offense. Hang on. No offense to the tweed folk out there. We love you guys.
here.
We love you guys. Hey, shout out to the tweed folk.
Don't want to alienate our
It's
audience.
both of us.
Yeah. But yeah, once I started to look into it, you're trying to rationalize things, and then they try to explain things. Oh, okay, that makes sense. But then there's stuff that makes no sense whatsoever, and you're like, whoa, what's up with that? And the answer they come back with is, we know because of divine revelation, and it's such a cop out. And then I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. Divine revelation, direct revelation. That's okay. I'll get that. But then you start to read. I started to read it in Carter, and it says before the internet about other religions, and I'm reading up on all these other religions, and I'm like, well, that makes sense. That makes sense. That makes no sense. How do they justify that? Oh, divine revelation. And all of these religions all do the same. They have some things that make some kind of sense, but then there's some great big hole in their logic, and they just say divine revelation, and it's just a cop out. Like, well, hold on, no, like in a certain sense, I think all of us need to go looking for our own divine revelation to get real philosophical. Like, someone else's experience is not any good for you, really. Because people might have profound transcendental experiences where they have insight into the nature of the mind or reality, but as soon as they try to put that into words, you're trying to,
I guess it's just everyone reaches a certain point, and there's a tipping point, and it could be from anything, from any drastic moment in your life. There's always something that will stop you dead in the water. Whether it's work, relationships,
near-death experience,
near-death, family members,
DMT.
But then you go searching through psychedelics, I guess.
Yeah,
and
I think that's
other
the
realms.
next. I think that's the next logical.
But
how's that in that
step after
talking
religion?
about the doorways? Like,
oh yeah, like that's
Doors of Perception. Have you guys read that?
That's a few hour long conversation right there. I have not.
It's a good read.
which one is it?
It's a small book as well.
Who's
The
it
Doors
by?
of Perception by Aldous Huxley. It's where the Doors, the band, got their name. Yeah.
Well, there's a conspiracy about that.
Oh, really?
It was a ridiculous one.
Wait, that he's still alive?
No, about the doors were like actually, I don't know. I just heard like a clickbait.
Give
thing.
it to me. Give it to me.
Because it's gonna go out there now. But this is all secondhand information. I know. I just saw some stupid clickbait thing, and I jumped on it.
Yeah.
Oh, that must be interesting. I'll read that.
Yeah.
That I need that 10 seconds of information. So
Just going to give me a
well,
well-rounded
apparently the
understanding.
military set it up somehow. The military
I've heard this.
set it up
Set up what? Sorry.
and set up the
The
doors.
doors.
And
band?
yeah, to
And that, what is it, Jim Morrison?
yeah,
Well,
which
Well,
I
he
was
was
like,
an
oh yeah,
admiral's
yeah.
son. He was,
Exactly.
yeah.
This is their angle.
He
But
was.
he was
the
an-
thing is that he's an FBI agent. Or
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
He is not a no.
No,
and
this
then
is this the
and then he's-
That
conspiracy.
dude's
Still
marching to
alive?
the
This
beat of
is
his
a
own
conspiracy.
drum for sure.
Oh yeah. Hang on.
100%.
Put in the comments if you really like. You got any idea? Put in the comments.
Let's go
Give
down
us the
that
links.
rabbit hole. Yeah.
Fill us in.
Yeah, fill us in. But yeah, that was I just
Oh,
thought that was hilarious.
Yeah. No, that
But,
is. But yeah, before it
gateway.
was Aldous Huxley, Doors of Perception.
Yes.
He actually referred back to William Blake as well, the poet.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, great poet,
Yeah.
visionary. Yeah.
It blows my mind how, people, you can read poetry or stories from 100, 150, 200 years ago, and they're talking about what they think it'll be like
And
now.
the similarity. Oh yeah.
And
I find it interesting when you read a poem from thousands of years ago and you're just like, oh man, this dude's feeling what I'm feeling right now.
Oh yeah, especially like there's
Yeah.
the relationships and
Yeah.
all
Same shit.
go through the same things.
Yeah, man.
Time doesn't stop for that.
Have you guys heard of the Gilgamesh epic?
Yeah.
I actually have no.
Yeah, man, it's cool. It is
The Gilgamesh?
Gilgamesh epic. It's a poem. I think it's
Just like the
Sumerian.
Gilgamesh is also the bad guy in the Smurfs.
Oh, that's
Gargamel. It's
Gargamel.
Gargamel.
Ah.
How dare you? How dare you, sir?
Gargamel, Gilgamesh.
yeah.
I feel like they're the same thing.
No, but he it's
One's
basically
French.
Gargamel and the cat, wasn't it? Yeah, the cat.
it's
Yeah.
basically the oldest story in the world that we have written down. It's older than I believe it's older than the Dead Sea Scrolls. I think it's about
What? Really?
No.
yeah. It was written. I'm pretty sure in like Sumerian cubiform. I'm just running my mouth here. If we had a Jamie, we could.
Jamie.
Yo, Jamie, pull that
Yeah,
up.
Jamie, pull it up.
Yeah.
Not that we're
You know what
into,
yeah, but no, it's the oldest known story, and you read it, man, and it's like it's like
Just get your phone out.
it's like a
Just
reading
get your
an
phone
action
out.
movie.
And we
What are we
can
looking up?
we can do
The
our own.
Gilgamesh epic, but it's like when you read it, it's like you're reading like the script for an action movie from today. It's like really like a little mystical, but pretty relevant. Like
Yeah.
like same sort of themes that you see in movies and stories today.
Do you want me to give you the rundown they've given me?
Yeah, all right, give us a quick one.
The Epic of Gilgamesh is an epic poem from ancient Mesopotamia that is often regarded as the earliest surviving great work of literature. The literary history of Gilgamesh begins with 5 Sumerian poems about Bilgamesh.
Gilgamesh,
Yep.
Bill.
And that might be a
Bazzy,
typo
mate.
in this, but it
Might
does
Is this
say Bilgamesh.
Is this
I don't know.
Wikipedia?
King of Uruk,
Yeah,
Uruk,
yeah,
UK,
Uruk, yeah.
dating from the 3rd dynasty.
Oh, okay. Nice pull up there.
There you
Ah.
go.
There you go.
Lucky on it.
It's science.
Ah,
It's just,
I don't believe in science.
I believe the jury is still out on science.
Yeah.
They haven't proved
Yeah.
anything yet. Yeah.
It's all just theory.
Yeah, but I just to involve myself and self promote myself all the time. I wrote a
What
song.
do you do with yourself?
So, yeah.
Yeah, I make music. I love music. I wrote a song. I took lines out.
Well,
of
that took longer than we expected, right?
He's onto that himself and his music.
I thought
already.
it was going to be, hi, I'm Aaron.
I'm
Hi,
lost
this
in 10
podcast.
minutes.
was proudly brought to me by me. So you do a bit of music, cousin.
Yeah, I do.
What type of music?
All kinds.
All kinds.
Except for shit kinds.
Okay, fair.
Yeah.
Oh,
Good choice.
He's
Good
straight into.
choice.
He's straight into.
I decided to avoid the shit Maya.
Yeah.
But
not
no.
gonna
So,
do
so
anything
you
Mu-
electronic? Are you guitar?
both,
are you
both.
percussion?
You just got to search for Flume on Spotify.
Flume.
No, I'm actually Dead Mouse.
Dead mouse.
You just don't know.
Okay,
'cause I
so-
wear a hood usually. Big.
So what is your? How can people find you? Or
Well,
find your music?
I've got 2 projects.
Yep.
One is acoustic songs, like I play the guitar and sing. That is called Faded Rug, and it's SoundCloud/faded_rug. And then I got my other one, which is like more experimental electronic music, all
Cool.
kinds of beats.
Yep.
And I get the electronic guitar in there as well, play over the top, improvise a bit to make it a bit more organic. And that is at soundcloud.com/loud_zoo.
Oh, you heard it. You heard it here.
There
There we
you
go.
go.
That's
You
pretty
heard it here
cool.
first, yeah.
Definitely.
I just made some videos the other day as well. When I say
Smashing the edits.
FYI,
It's on the edits.
when I say I made some video,
You got to get amongst this.
I downloaded stock footage and just use that as my
your
clip.
video clip and you check some
it's
music.
pretty good. I've got
Well,
some.
that's it. That's cool.
Yeah, if you search Loud Zoo music, but there's some
You
other
just
Loud
need to
Zoo
do-
out there in America, and he's hogging my search results.
Oh, right.
Yeah, actually, though, this is true. I paid like a company to upload all my stuff to all these platforms, and they uploaded it to YouTube, but they didn't, and SoundCloud. And Spotify, but it's under this other Loud Zoo's name. He's in the US. I got to sort that out. But yeah, the SoundCloud links just go straight to my stuff anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that sounds pretty. That's cool. It's a cool passion. Passion
Oh, man, it's music is it means a lot to me.
How about you, Lucky? What do you get up to? Apart from you boys being great baristas.
Yeah, we didn't drop
but,
that fact. Yeah.
But
Do
yeah,
like making the coffee.
Me and Lachlan.
we'll just smash out
Yeah.
the coffees. I mean,
do you want
ground
me to
control.
make a coffee? Shall we
Here
make
we
a
are.
coffee?
Are we ready? Are we ready for a coffee?
Let's
I
do
think we
one.
could be, yeah.
All right. So,
All right, so let's explain what you have and how it all works.
all right. So, right here, have you?
So for the so we'll do two. What obviously, just explain what it is on the mic. Because obviously we've got the video crowd, and then we've also got
Alright.
the people listening in their car or whatever.
none of them are going to know
All
how
four
good
of them.
that smells.
All
That's the
four of them
problem.
listening at the
Yeah,
moment.
if only you could smell this, man. Anyway, so this.
Oh no! Oh no!
me
We
and
won't be able to
Lachlan-
hear because of the boiling water.
That's all right. It's pretty back.
Is
there.
it going to get in the way?
We're all right.
I reckon we'll be sweet.
I'll just
yeah,
No,
no, we're
we're
still
good.
good.
okay. I'll
good.
just,
It's not coming in at all.
So, what I got here? Okay.
There's a slight hiss, guys. I don't like that. I don't like. I'm a professional.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I can plug it in outside.
Yep. You're plugging it outside.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Hey, but you can
Yep.
keep
All right. So
plugging
me
it
and,
outside.
me and Lachlan both work at Ground Control Coffee in Tweedhead South,
Yep.
which is where we know Tole.
Exactly. That's how I met
yeah.
the fabulous coffee and
Yep.
great boys and girls.
Yeah,
and
there's
ladies.
Some of them too.
Ladies.
Girls, either, you know,
Yep.
Um,
Whichever you like.
whichever they like to be called.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
so hard to be like. It's so hard to know what. Some people like to be
Oh.
called a girl, but then
There's
that's not
no way to win, mate.
You can't say
Then you're-
girl because
then
you're
you're assuming
demeaning.
someone's gender.
So then you have to say no
can't do
lady,
that
but then they go, I
anymore.
don't want to be a lady. I want to be a girl because I want to be known as a bit younger. So
yeah, I know, man.
it's hard.
You just can't win.
But if someone calls me a boy, I'll be like, yeah, cool.
Yeah, I find
Cool.
that slightly demeaning.
Well, there you go. Then they
Good
can
boy.
find girl.
Good boy. What am I, a fucking dog?
Oh, you got
5.
Okay, we got that too, I guess.
Um,
You just threw me out of the rug there. Fair enough.
Sorry. Yeah, so me and Lockie work at Ground Control Coffee.
Shout out, Lockie.
Yeah, shout
Shout
out to
out.
Ground Control. Great place to work.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna rep them because they've been really good for me. Really good blokes to work for. Been a really good place. Met lots of really cool people. Met
It
you
is.
guys.
It is a really cool place. Like
It's a hub, man. Like,
it is. I like going there, and
mm,
Single Origin is still my favourite. Just throwing that out there.
Mm.
And you do your own roasting too. This is
Yeah,
a great
yeah.
thing to know. And it's always great coffee, and I've enjoyed it.
mm,
And that was part of the idea of putting something like this together.
yeah.
So yeah, I've really
Coffee.
enjoy the spot.
Coffee bringing people together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's right.
It's nice, man. Like I moved here. I used to live on the Gold Coast for about 10 years. Then I went overseas for a year. Then I was on the sunny coast for a year. And then I came back down here, and I didn't know anyone.
Yeah.
And after a few months, got my job at Ground Control, and it was great. I just met all my friends, met bandmates, people I've jammed with.
Yeah.
Met heaps of people, heaps of cool people. Have we've had some live music events there.
Yeah.
Man, my life has been really great the last 4 years, and pretty much a lot of it stemmed from meeting people at Ground Control.
And you're doing the training of future baristas.
Mhm.
I'm actually
Baristas.
I'm actually getting flown down to Melbourne tomorrow
Oh shit.
to teach someone to make coffee.
Oh,
Yeah,
is this for ground?
yeah,
Work
man.
paid.
Yep,
That's awesome.
Yeah, coffee's
It's booming.
It's a complex beast.
It is,
Yeah.
and I'm still yet to partake in the barista course.
Yeah.
Just a shout out there,
Mate.
guys.
Don't get me too much on the subject of coffee, because I do the barista course, and I
Exactly,
can
yeah.
talk literally for like an hour and a half non-stop about just espresso, and that's not even getting on to.
Well, we can do
boys.
the highlights.
Ooh.
But I guess
Okay, so
is the hang on is the I think I hear the kettle is it boiled
almost.
almost.
Yeah. Anyway, it's okay. A minute after the boils, what we kind of want. We don't want 100-degree water. We want about 94,
96.
93.
So when it boils, you let it
let it
simmer
sit
for
a
like
minute or two.
yeah.
Yeah. Or just shut it off just when it starts to boil as well.
Yep.
Because you want to do most coffee around 92, 94
Yep.
degrees. But what we've got here is some stuff from Brazil.
nice.
It's beautiful. It's not too. It's kind of a light roast, light-ish, light medium. Yeah.
So what's the so when you say a light roast versus a dark roast, is the darker roast like a more bitter? Darker.
Well,
Where does the
in-
bitterness come
typically,
from? Or does that come from the bean?
the bitterness comes from the caffeine mostly. Caffeine is
Oh.
actually a natural pesticide. The tree produces caffeine to repel insects.
Oh,
It just
okay.
happens to get us buzzed by a fortunate coincidence of chemistry. As far as I know, that's as far as I know at the moment.
Well, that's pretty interesting. I had
mm.
no idea that was the case.
Yeah. So the bitterness, caffeine is bitter.
Mm.
So coffee is always going to be a bit bitter.
Yeah.
As part of it. Typically, with what we have with light roast versus dark roast is coffee has got a lot of chemical compounds in it.
Yeah.
When you roast light, to cut it down to simple, you generally retain like the acids in the bean, which is perceived as sweetness and brightness, like citrusiness, fruitiness. You know, like if you ever have those sort of flavors. That's generally the acids. And as you roast darker, you sort of roast out those acids, but you're also caramelizing sugars. So as you go towards the darker end, you're sort of getting the more deep, dark chocolate, malt, toffee, caramel, cacao flavors. That's at the dark end of the spectrum. Whereas like citrusy, lemony, fruity
citrus
sort of coffee is at the light end of the spectrum.
Oh, okay.
So a light filter roast would be like something you want to, you want to just have it as a black coffee, really, because as soon as you put like milk into like a light filter roast, it's kind of lost. So those dark roasts are better for milk coffees typically. Whereas light roasts are generally better for black coffee.
Yeah.
Just as a general sort of rule, but
Well, I'm keen to get this tasted.
So this is sort of like almost a medium. It's sort of a light medium. It's from
Okay,
Brazil. It's
kettle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll just double check.
It's just natural washed method, and it's got this like, doesn't sound too bad, does it? The hand grinder. So what I'm also using here is
I'm back. All right. So you got the
hand grinder.
The hand grinder, which is you can take that camping.
Absolutely. And
So
I have as well.
Is that like a specific gauge or whatever?
It does actually have. It's basically kind of like similar in a certain sense to just a salt and pepper grinder, but it does have an adjustable.
Oh, cool.
Flickamajig on the bottom, which you can make finer or coarser. This is for the AeroPress, so it's a bit finer than you would for
okay.
like a plunger.
Yeah, that's perfect for like work. I could take that to work and then
or
have
camping.
Great, but that's a special one,
Yeah,
I'm still wanting to have that. Everyone's got an Instagram or whatever, but that fire on the beach, which is pretty much illegal. You can't, and just enjoy a little strum the guitar. And then you can get the grinder out in the morning.
Yeah,
I can take Instagram photos of my feet outside.
That's it. That's what people love. I've taken this camping, and man, I was having like the most like gourmet coffees, and I'm just living out the back of my van.
Yeah, that's
so this hand grinder is not too much. I think it's like around $70.
Yeah.
And, so the thing is with grinding your coffee fresh, it's kind of like when you cut fruit or bread, it goes stale very quickly after it's cut. It oxidizes.
Yeah.
So
coffee, you just have it there and there.
Yeah. So it's more fresh, basically.
Yeah, better to keep it in the bean form as long as possible. Like grind it as you're making the coffee.
Yeah. So use it.
Yeah. So it takes a couple of minutes to grind up, but it's all part of the ritual. Coffee's a ritual.
Oh, it is. I find it like a Japanese ceremony.
Yeah, it's
like
a ceremony.
You don't need to rush it. You don't just enjoy it. Work it into your day. And for me, whenever I have the coffee, it just there's no procrastination. It's such a good hit of just like focus. Yeah. So when I do it, I just like get up. I've got my notepad, and then I write my stuff. But then I'll do the kettle or grind it, and then I'll have a black coffee. Then I'll sip it, and you can taste the flavors. It took probably a little bit, maybe only about 2 or 3 times to get used to coffee without the milk. And but then it was almost like drinking a tea, because you could taste the flavors, and you go, I get it now. And then you start getting your own preferences, like a wine. Like I found I like the single origin, not too fruity, but fruity enough. Or then you got the, I guess, more chocolatey type flavors. I really enjoyed it, and I have that in the mornings, and then that will kickstart the rest of the morning. Whether I go out, take Oscar out, shout out Oscar, the dog.
What a pooch!
What a pooch! And then we'll go for a run or a walk or a workout or even BJJ.
Yeah.
I've only just started. I'm not really good at it. So
every time someone says BJJ, I'm a little bit like, until that second J comes in.
I'll just drop off the last one.
What?
I do the Brazilian version.
I think we're good.
Yeah.
All right, so there's a bit of grinding action there.
Yeah, fair bit of grinding action, but
Good morning workout.
it makes you
though.
appreciate it all the more. You appreciate it more. So here's the AeroPress, which is, I thought it was a gimmick, to be honest, till I used it. Then I was like, oh, this is the real thing.
Okay, this is really good.
Yeah, it's actually really good. So basically what you got is an airtight plunger with no bottom on it.
Ah, okay,
So it's sort of halfway between a plunger and like a manual espresso, because it has a bit of, it has like air pressure behind it. It has like an air pocket and it squeezes all of the oils and everything out of the coffee.
Side note, the plastic is made of like aeroplane grade quality plastic, so the water doesn't taint it at all.
Yeah, you don't get any, BPA.
Oh,
or
the
whatever
BPA,
like that.
BPA free.
And also, I like the fact it's plastic because I take it on the road. You can't break it. So anyway, the grinds collect down the bottom of your grinder. I'll start off with the AeroPress upside down. We haven't got. Oh, there's a spoon over there or something. Just top it up with water, which has been off the boil for about a minute or two, and once it's in, I need to give it a bit of a stir. Actually, let me see. Is there around to stir with? Probably. I don't want to burn my finger. Yeah. Just gonna swivel it around a bit.
Do that one. Get the rotation happening.
Yeah, just give it a swizzle. But there's definitely coffee stuck on the bottom here. Oh, should I do that? That's dirty.
What do you got?
Dirty pipe in the bag.
Yeah, no, don't do that.
What's that? Is that a keys? Oh, should I use my bottle opener?
I feel like he's gone to get a spoon.
I feel like that's probably the most appropriate course of action. Meanwhile, though,
I could use the bottle opener.
I'm supposed to be sort of counting mentally my brew time.
Yeah. How long do you like
Tom.
to hold it for? Because it's open to debate.
It's a matter of opinion, but I like about a minute and a half.
Yep.
I find after if just 60 seconds, if say it's a little bit under extracted, which is hasn't been prepared with heat enough, and it's similar to like when you under extract, it's similar to like having a light roast. Actually, you basically take out a lot of the acids, but you don't take out the other half.
The flavour can come down to the extraction as well. Like if it's under extracted, it is going to be a bit more sour. And if it's over extracted, it's probably going to be a little bit more bitter. Almost taste a bit burnt to a degree.
So how long do you keep that? So you just let it sit there?
Yeah, I let it sit for about a minute and a half. I don't know how long it's been now. Maybe maybe almost a minute and a half.
Yeah, I reckon we're pretty much there.
So what I've got is I've actually got it started upside down. This is actually upside down at the moment. And then what you do, if anyone's looking on the camera,
okay,
you put your paper filter, but there is also a stainless steel filter you can buy. Put it in there, lock it off, and then cut a boom upside down. Then you press. And it takes a little bit of muscle, which is good. It's just squeezing stuff out.
But what makes it so good is that it is somewhere between a filter extraction and a pressurized extraction, like the espresso. So it's it's kind of like dwells in the middle, and it's got its own flavour to it. It's not quite the filter. Look at it. You got to get the pressure on that.
You have to get a bit of muscle behind it sometimes.
Get the body onto it.
You can actually, if you grind too fine, it can provide too much resistance, then it slips out the side.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I'm not going to slip all over you.
Yeah, or even
Brand new mixer.
the top will push through the coffee. It'll come up there.
Yeah, the cup will just swivel.
Yeah.
Come on.
Right. And it's also very easy to clean. You just bang it out.
Are you guys working tomorrow?
Mm-hmm.
I am, but as I said,
We'll be up all night.
I'll be going to Melbourne
Fine.
tomorrow.
Oh, that's right. When are you flying? Let's
let's
taste this piece. Thanks,
do a
boys.
taste tester, yeah. First coffee on Crema and Grind.
Oh,
Should we get the slurps into the microphone so everybody knows how much we're enjoying it?
Oh, it's a beautiful smell.
See how it's got that little bit of sweetness to it, but that's the acidity, but it's still got that nice chocolatiness.
Oh, that's quite nice.
That's
that one.
something you only get from good Arabica beans as well. That nice.
It's really like
chocolate.
it's a good punch, and it's like a dark chocolate. There's this.
Oh, you know, what I love as well is about like how complex it is. Like that's another thing about we're talking about wine, and you know, there's even a name for the person who tastes wines, the sommelier. You know.
Yeah.
But as far as I know, there's about 80 flavored compounds in wine, whereas there's about 800 in coffee. Coffee is a complex beast.
It is.
But
Very.
this is nice.
I know nothing.
Especially after a couple of seconds, you get that sort of nice caramelly aftertaste that comes through. Like,
Yeah, it's got a great aftertaste.
And like as it cools as well, you're getting different flavors coming through. So when it's straight out, you'll get one flavor, and 1 minute later, 30 seconds later, you'll get a different flavor. Like
Yeah.
as it cools, it changes, and then when it's room temperature, it's
See, I got
completely
into
different
coffee
again.
super late. See that extend? No, it was super late. I was like 32.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, like I'm 39 now. Thanks, guys. So I had it for uni, and I started with mochas. And I had the first mocha, and it drove. I was like I was on some speed or something. I was just like, just motor mouth and heap of energy, and great for studying and trying to sort out my uni work because I was rubbish at programming. Eventually got there, but yeah, still rubbish. But yeah, it helped me get through it. And then from mochas, I found out so much sugar in it.
yeah.
That I went, I had a cappuccino, and then from cappuccino went to latte, then to black coffee.
Yeah, that's
Time
a pretty
to
big
time.
transition for you.
So I'm
Started at the-
I think
and
that's how
then
everybody starts, really. I started getting
Yeah.
those caramel lattes,
Yeah.
those big chains, and then you're like, you know what, I can probably lose the caramel. Then you're like, I
Yeah.
can lose some of this milk.
you're sort of adjusting your taste buds. It's
Yeah,
going with you.
definitely.
And
It's-
then
you
you
know
start
what?
to find what you like as well.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's it. When you're drinking those like super sweet beverages, it's not really
It's not
tasting the
really
coffee.
No.
You're not getting the
It's
experience
kind of
of
like having bourbon and Coke with heaps of Coke.
even
Like,
with an
Yeah, yeah,
expensive
yeah,
bourbon.
yeah,
Like
it's like
Yeah.
it's like and then someone like some kind of parallel between like when someone's like, I want a single origin, they're like, yeah, I'll have it in a jumbo with heaps of milk. It's kind of like
half
getting
strength.
it's kind of like getting the single malt whiskey and then like just do you want to fill that up with Coke? It's like you don't need the single malt. If you're feeling it I'm being a snob, but I should probably stop before I start offending everybody. Who
You're
drinks
not the
coffee.
first one. Not the first one. Well, we got barista stories.
Oh,
We
I've
can
got some really pretty strong opinions about coffee and music and everything. I'm just
Yeah.
like, no, this is the way.
Yeah. So what's the okay? So we got like Easy Rider, Love Bites, Major Tom.
Major, it's already gone. That was so good.
So what's the process of like working out a type of coffee versus something else? Because you got so many
Yeah.
variations
Yeah,
here
yeah.
already.
Good question.
And then, do you guys have like a tasting thing where we're going to create a new one or a new
Yeah, we do.
new
It's pretty
range? A
intense.
new range?
Yeah, well, you decide what you want basically. Like for example, we started off with Major Tom, which is a medium roast
Yep.
with 4 different beans: Colombia, Costa Rica, Sumatra, and Peru. They really complement one another, eat really well. Each of them brings something unique and different to it. And that was the house blend. It's a medium roast, all rounder. And then there was the dark roast, as the alternative option.
Yeah.
And then we were like, well, we need an organic blend now. So, because everybody wants organics.
Yeah.
So we had to get an organic blend, and we tasted that, and then we're like, oh, well, you know what, we can probably make this organic into a dark roast as well, and plus a Indian Robusta. So a lot of tasting. And sometimes people like come to us like somebody who's, a client, and they're like, okay, we want to come on with you guys. And, for example, like, Jack and Eileen, shout out to the new cafe open in Palm
Beach.
They're surrounded by cafes, and the cafes around them, they're all using kind of like light roasts.
Yeah.
So we're like, well, let's get them something a little bit darker, and that was how one of the reasons Easy Rider sort of came about. Something a little bit darker to the surrounding cafes as a point of difference.
Yeah. But yeah, when you're selecting the beans for the roast, like you have a flavor in mind, and then you go through selecting your beans based on different altitudes, produce different flavors, and where
like
they're
a
grown.
wine.
with-
Different
Isn't it?
origins. And
Yeah, like
so
a
where
grape.
they're grown in the world has different flavors
Yeah.
to it as
and
well.
how they process it.
Like South America, Africa.
Oh yeah.
What about coastal regions?
Well, what you need
Oh,
with
man.
what you need with good
How
Arabica
about
coffee
Australia?
is high altitude.
Yeah, so they do
okay.
grow
Yeah.
coffee in like North Queensland, up in the Tablelands areas, but there aren't all that many places in Australia that they grow coffee.
That's
beans.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
just the
also-
altitude.
Atherton, Mariba.
New Zealand?
Nah, man, it has to be like
Yeah.
tropical.
Yeah, so
that
warm.
makes
Around
sense
the
because
equator.
after I
Yeah.
said that, I was like,
It's like a tropical plant.
Yeah,
It's a
true.
tropical plant which Robusta grows at low altitude. And it's easy to grow, so it's a bit cheaper. Robusta is what typically becomes supermarket coffee or instant coffee.
Which one's that?
Robusta.
It's like
Robusta.
bitter, strong,
Yeah.
like 4 times the amount of caffeine.
So-
in
Oh, I'm not
Arabica.
sure on the exact difference
Some-
in
I've heard
caffeine levels,
something
but
like
it is
that.
more caffeinated.
So when you get the coffee in the shops, I won't name brands,
Mhm.
but what's the biggest difference between processing getting it roasted, and then you put it in bags, you grind it, and then you have it? So where a coffee you have at the shops, would that be more like long lasting?
I'd
Is it
say
just
there would be some sort of preservative
Yeah.
in there.
I don't think they would put preservatives in. I
how
think
does
they
it
just
last so
vacuum seal it.
long?
Well, that's what I've always wondered about.
I don't really know what the best before, like the use by date on coffee is. See, one thing, this is a point of difference. Like, if you're getting good coffee, typically what they'll have on the back of the bag is a roast date.
Yep.
So you know when it was roasted. What
Yeah.
you have with cheaper coffees a best before date. So you have
Yeah.
no idea when it was roasted.
Yeah,
But
because they usually last like depends on the bag, I guess, but like as soon
And
as
how
it's
you store it
roasted,
as well.
yeah.
that's
Because it was
a matter
what,
of
14
opinion.
day? Okay.
Well, it's a matter of opinion. But coffee is actually at its best about 4 days to a week or two after it's been roasted.
Yeah.
Because it releases a lot of gases, carbon dioxide. It also is going through like a slow chemical reaction. It stabilizes.
Yeah.
So it's like at its best after about a week. And then I reckon it's still running strong 2 months later. I reckon
Yeah.
3 months later, you're going to notice it's starting to lose flavor.
It starts to get stale.
4 months later, stale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you can totally tell with your taste buds, hey, like as you're going through the
It's
days.
night and day. Yeah. When you
Mhm.
have like a fresh coffee. Also, a sign like something like an indicator of good fresh coffee is crema.
Yeah.
That's
Just in my name.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. They're 2 big pointers: the grind and the crema.
Yo.
Yeah.
Holla.
So yeah. Sorry, I lost my point. But
Yeah, sorry, I was too busy
coffee.
gloating
No,
about
it's just
the
I'm
name.
just thinking the word coffee is so
Man.
is big, man. Like
Yep.
I do this all the time and giving the barista class. I'm stopping. I'm like, oh, what was I talking about? Because it just
Yeah.
get down these rabbit holes sometimes.
Well, I guess these long form conversations are definitely like that. Like, I mean, we've done about 43 minutes already.
Oh, we're
Okay.
going.
So,
strong.
us.
Yeah,
Also,
us.
we'll just keep crack-a-lacking until
We should have another beer, I think.
Yeah.
It's not even my beers, and I'm like, we should have another
I'm just like,
Go grab 'em.
Yeah,
I'm
in the
like
bag.
like paranoid that something's not recording. So
Imagine that.
I keep looking at the recording. That's definitely record. Oh, you bumped it.
Oh damn!
Oh, I actually did bump it. Sorry.
We weren't joking.
Yeah, no, I thought you were. Unfortunately.
Ah well. Got the good product placement there.
Yeah. Placing all sorts of products.
Beers and coffee, eh?
Yeah.
I reckon they go hand in hand. Oh, well, speaking of beers and coffee, I've brewed a coffee beer before. I did a bit of home brew.
Yep.
Oof. And the guys down the road at Pickled Pig, they're using.
Oh yeah. They're at the shout out. They're at Tweedheads as well.
Shout out to our our mates, our local mates at Pickled Pig Brewery. They I got him a kilo of our dark.
Oh, that's right.
Organic
I was
roast.
there.
So it's real rich, dark, caramelly toffee stuff. He's going to be putting that into a stout.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So coffee
So that's
beer.
pretty good. Yeah, I'm
That
looking
will
forward to that.
be.
He said he's going to put some in the
Cheers,
brew.
boys.
Yeah, boys. Cheers. Thank you. He's also going to dry hop it with some coffee.
Now, you've chosen some pretty crisp beers.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would probably never have got this. It's quite
Yeah,
nice.
I would never have bought it either.
Gluten free,
That's
ultra
exactly-
low carb.
Yeah, it's my girlfriend.
This is like
can't
body.
even
This is like bodybuilding beer.
That's a chick's
eat- good stuff. Wait, but you feel good about yourself the next day.
I feel pretty good with myself all the time. No, I'm just kidding.
No, you're not.
Yeah, no, I don't. I have very few mirrors in my house.
Not enough. There's
I
not
don't wanna
enough.
see them.
I want to see every angle. No, not that angle. Take that off. No, I don't want to see the back. I think the crown's going. No.
It's pretty unflattering, the back of my head, yeah.
John,
That should be really tasty. I actually made a homebrew amber ale one time. So not from fresh grains, but from an extract.
Yep.
But I put in 2 liters of cold brew coffee into it.
Oh
It was
wow.
a 20 litre brew of amber ale. So it was like 10% cold brew. And man, have you ever tasted cold brew? So for those who don't know, cold brew is coffee brewed in cold water for about 20 hours. It's very low acidity. It's very smooth, very caramelly, chocolate rich flavor.
Yeah.
It's a
It
totally
goes in
different
there.
drink.
Yeah. Ooh. It goes in, yeah. So I put that in the cold brew. And, you know, the first ones I had were, I was like, oh, this is okay. But I stashed them aside and forgot about them for a few months. And they really cleaned up. They lost the yeasty flavor and they just came super smooth. Oh, they're real nice.
Oh, I've never made it. I've never made beer.
I've done homebrew once before.
Homebrew is pretty simple. You just got to
yeah.
sterilize everything. That's like 90% of your job when you're doing homebrew is just sterilize.
Because I like
And temperature.
pale
Yeah,
ales.
yeah, yeah.
I like the pale ales.
Yeah, man, I get into my beer too much.
It's
I
fun
don't
to tweak
drink
with
much
it
at
as well.
all.
It's another thing that like
I'm
you
just
don't really, you think you know a little bit and then you discover it's like the onion effect they call it, when you
hurt your eyes.
onion theory. When you think you
layers.
know everything and you discover something else and it
Yeah.
opens up a whole nother realm
Yeah.
and then
It's
you
kinda
discover
like
something else.
And then you
It's
feel
another
so sad about yourself because like I know nothing. By the time you get
Yeah.
halfway through, like I know nothing.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's the beginning.
And it just
of all
keeps
knowledge
happening and
stuff.
And then
happening
you,
and happening.
yeah,
Nothing.
but then as soon as you explain something to someone else, that's where the real learning happens
Yep.
because it reinforces obviously
Yeah,
what
yeah.
you've learned and studied, and
That's
then it
it.
helps you process it in a certain way as well.
Yeah.
So then when you explain it, someone go, actually, I do know something on that.
Yeah.
Or there's levels to everything.
Yeah.
100%.
You
And,
know what I reckon is bullshit is that saying those who don't know teach.
Oh
'Cause
yeah,
in order to
that's
maybe for
just silly.
people who are pretending to teach, but in order to teach something
But some
properly, you
people
got
have,
to
like, passion.
really know it. You can't teach without really knowing it. Like
But that's
if
where
you're
it
gonna
comes
teach
down
properly.
to people who were taught to teach and the people
Yeah,
who were like
yeah,
born to teach.
yeah,
Like,
man.
Yeah,
the
that's
difference
true.
between a good teacher and an amateur, like an all right
Yeah,
teacher.
like they're just doing it just because. But
Mm.
yeah, you do hit it like a certain age, I think, where
Mm.
you do want to show other people. Like I used to be super. I'm still probably pretty competitive, but only in certain sports, for example, like I was pretty awesome at basketball. I practiced a lot, like maybe 4 hours a
I
day.
sucked at basketball. I loved
So
it when I was a
much.
kid.
But then it got to a certain point where once I didn't go to the next level, or I went to Sydney and then didn't pursue it, but I never ever trained anyone. I never ever took all that knowledge and then started teaching anybody or join a little community and train a little some teenagers or the younger generation. Not even the slightest motivated to do
Didn't
that.
take on a
But
protege.
I realized a part of myself was I just love the competition. Like I love the fact that if they were better than me, then I had to learn how to counter it or do something. So then that was my way of enjoying it. And then you get the adrenaline knowing that you hit the shot or you did something. So
Made someone look like a fool.
yeah, because they make you look like a fool, and you're good at when you're good at something, it gives you confidence.
Yeah.
And then that feeds into other areas. And then it showed me actually if you practice something, even if you you get rejected and then your confidence is down and you're playing a tournament, then you have 2 shit games and then you might make the semis and all of a sudden you do a couple good things and then you're back onto oh look out, I'm NBA Jam.
Kobe.
Yeah. So so I just find that but it just interests me that why didn't I teach anybody? And the only thing I can think of is I'd probably do it if I had a kid. A child, and then I'd go, oh yeah, I'll train you. That's probably the only time where I'd get into it.
Yep.
But other than that, I think I'm just too selfish.
Yeah.
I just love the competition too much.
I'm into teaching when people offer me money.
Yeah.
That's usually my favorite time to teach people.
Well, that's easy.
But I've been teaching music like guitar and coffee for a while now, and it took me a while to learn how to teach because especially with guitar, I'd have people coming to me like, right, let's start with music theory.
Oh yeah,
And
that's
I've
not
lost
going to hit
them.
at all.
Lost them, man.
Yeah.
I've ruined guitar for so many people. I'm sorry if you're out there.
Yep.
But it took me a
Couple
while.
chords.
It took me a while. Yeah, man. You
Couple
just
of
wanna
tunes,
you
get
wanna
them to make the
banging out some
sound.
riffs. Yeah.
Boom.
Smoke on the water.
Yeah,
I
make it
am
fun for
Iron
them.
Man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sick tunes. Yeah. But no, teaching is a thing as well because everybody learns differently. You got to be sensitive to how they pick things up.
Yeah, for sure.
And yeah. Some people just don't learn, but
Just-
well, one thing you notice though, teaching people is there's 2 things which determine how much you're going to learn. Well, one of them is being keen. People
Yeah.
who aren't enthusiastic or genuinely interested, just fucking forget about it. Do something else. Just fuck off. Don't waste
Yeah.
my time.
Do you think that they need to get like is it when they realize it's hard? That's when they quit.
It's almost like when they were never keen, and it's their parents telling you to do it.
Well, that's true too. Yeah,
It's a big thing.
Yeah.
I've taught a few people soccer over the years.
that's right. Yeah.
But also like archery as well.
Oh, that's cool.
That was
I've
a
only
big
done
thing
that
for
once
me.
or
I'm
twice.
gonna get you to teach me archery.
Oh, we're gonna do that.
Yeah.
So much fun, hey. I'd be up for it.
Where do you do it here?
Well, I haven't
At the
done
back
it
of your
in
house?
probably about 18 months. No, in my apartment. I got a range set up.
Done.
But yeah, like you would notice that there would be people who would start out and they wouldn't have any kind of dexterity, no skill about them, but they'd be so keen. And there'd be people who would be naturally talented.
You gotta be keen.
And they would just sit at the same level. And the people who were
Hardworking.
keen and not very good would overtake them pretty quickly because they would just be that much more interested in doing it.
Yeah.
They'll be that much more interested
Like
in
man,
listening.
when I first started playing guitar,
It was hard.
well, I was
remember that too.
learning with my brother and another friend, and they were learning way quicker than me, like way quicker. They just were natural at it, better than I was, and my brother since just dropped off, doesn't do any of it. I was just keen. You got to be somewhat like you got to be stubborn. You got to be.
You do have to be
determined.
stubborn.
Yeah.
Like I found when I was learning it, I got into it because of my school buddies.
Persistence probably a better word.
He went to a pub, and I think I did it for vanity reasons, but and it looked cool. But he got rollicking drunk and the Irish pub as you do, and then
It's the only thing to do.
we told him to get on stage, and we're only about 18, 19, something like that. And then he played "Time of Your Life," and I
Green
think
Day.
2 other songs as well. And then everyone was going off, and I was like, "That must feel amazing." And I said, "He did it hammered," and he's done really well. Dave Hunt,
Shout
out, Dave Hunt. But
It's
yeah,
a good last name.
yeah, he's done well.
Does he have a brother called Mike?
There we go. Sorry, mate. We don't want to put those in like 20 years. Like literally 20 years. But so then they got me into it, and then I started playing, and then I was terrible. It was just complete stubborn. I was just like, okay, I couldn't do something. For me, if I can't do it, I have to practice it until I can do it to a certain degree. And then I remember going, I'm really bad at this. I went and took 2 lessons, and that wasn't great. And then I worked out how to read a guitar tab.
Oh yeah.
And then from
That's
that I
handy.
went, okay, that's how you do it. So then I picked a couple of tunes and then started finger picking first.
Yeah.
And then just a transition from A minor, C, G, D was pretty hard at the time. But then just doing that, I went, oh my gosh, I'm making sound. And then I think Oasis, Wonderwall, the strumming rhythm of that at the start when I was learning.
That's a classic for
I'll
teach
never
all the time.
get that. I'll never get that strumming pattern.
Man.
And then eventually, every morning at like 5:30, 6 a.m. till like 7.
That's
Then I go to work, come back, and
That's
then play
huge,
another.
though. That's dedication. Like,
So I did that every
type of
morning.
person.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's what I learned from the basketball. I learned from rugby.
Yeah.
Learned from cricket. So all my sporting then transitioned to that.
Yeah.
And
That's
so,
funny because it's kind of vice versa for me. I skateboarded and played basketball when I was young, but I was horrendous at both. I pretty much was very unco. But I really just like I played guitar a lot when I was a teenager. I started when I was probably about 13. Started off with the acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
And I just really just I think it was, it played in a couple of bands and whatever. But after school is when I got like a microphone and a computer and a little analog to digital converter for my microphones and my guitar, and that's when I started to get into recording and stuff.
Yeah.
And man, like I just Googled how to, just figured it out for myself. And I'm not, my
See, that was really hard. We did not have that. There was
about
no
to say that.
YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Oh well, dude, no, I'm sorry.
We had to pay $50 for a lesson.
Yeah, no, like back then I actually didn't have
We got
YouTube
books.
either. I
got
had
heaps of books.
Search the
you got
encyclopedia
DVD.
for how to play guitar.
In Carter.
Like when I bought Pro Tools, you got a how to use DVD.
Oh,
and It was
yeah.
boring.
It
It was
was
so
so
dry.
hard.
It was so dry.
I could barely. I
God.
got a mixer and I ended up selling it because I was just could not work it out.
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
And then I
but
hit
you
record
just-
nothing. So then I just got like Apple I had like a
Got
Mac
to
and then
be.
just hit that internal mic, GarageBand,
Yeah, I was about
record,
to say.
la 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 la,
You-
and I was terrible.
Audacity.
You're gonna be obsessed.
Audacity.
No, I started out with Audacity.
Yeah, yeah,
and
it
a
was
little
a simple
internet
program.
mic. A little internet mic. Yeah.
Yeah,
Man,
But you just got to be like obsessed,
Yeah.
like, and that's what
You
I was.
do,
I
you
was
do.
just, I've like since then I've self-produced and released my own album. It's not the greatest, but it was an accomplishment for me.
Exactly.
But it was an accomplishment for me because I didn't get an education like that. I just like was just obsessive and persistent, and I just hammered it out. And it's imperfect. I didn't have great equipment. Like it's not very well mixed. Like sometimes
Yeah.
the kick will boom boom come and overpower everything. It's because I just mixed it with headphones. But
that's it. The persistence pays because
Yeah.
one of my old housemates from up in Brisbane is a pretty successful musician at this point, and I remember living in the same house as him, and he would record his music with an Apple headphones, and they just have the microphone on them.
Yeah.
and he would just
okay.
record it himself and mix it
Yeah.
himself and put it
Yeah.
up online.
Yeah.
Nowadays that doesn't happen, but to get him to where it was him just persisting.
So I used to
Same
hit
bad
record
tools.
and try and make my music
Mm.
because I was and then I listened to myself sing, and then
oh,
I was always really
dude.
scared of performing in front of people
Yeah.
because I still just didn't have I didn't think I had a good voice, but when I couldn't do any covers, like me covering songs is it's like cats screaming. It's
I
terrible
got funny feelings.
because I got a
about
really high
covers,
pitched
man.
voice.
Couple of cats in a bag.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But then I realized as soon as I created lyrics over the melodies and chord progressions, I actually sounded okay, and I went, okay, that's interesting, and it was just a good way to finish a day's work and do a hobby, and then I started getting into it, and then I remember giving some songs to some people at work. And they were nice enough. Some of them hated it, and they told that to us. And then, but there's like always one or two tracks that are going, oh, that's actually pretty good. And I was like, okay. So then I'd keep going and then create these tracks, but they weren't like mixed very well. It
I'd
was
like
just
to hear them.
they weren't great. But I think there's like
You still
two,
got him around.
three songs out there.
Yeah.
But they were a bit depressing.
Are they on the are they on the
I'm
internet
up
or
for being
anything?
depressed.
Yes, but I want to create some newer material because I think my range has changed a bit, but I literally haven't sat down and created a full song in a while. But they, for whatever reason, they just tend to be quite depressing. I don't know
well,
why.
you know what, man?
But then I can do electronic music, and then it's pretty cool and obviously it's pretty upbeat and pretty groovy. But then I've just been learning this stuff, video editing, and so I've sort of put that skill to a side. But it's starting to call me out
It's
a
a good
bit.
skill to have, and like everyone's like,
But yeah, jamming. I need a jam.
yeah.
You should
I
mix
mean,
up
like,
your own theme song.
you know how it's kind of funny, man. Like, you know how there's that whole thing where like people are like, oh, there's unrealistic body image issues in society
dysmorphia or
because
something,
everyone in magazines is photoshopped perfect, And it's the same it's kind of like a parallel with our music. Like everything's photoshopped and produced to perfection, and that's not real music,
raw.
man.
It's
Like
gotta be raw.
music's about expressing yourself. It's not about being perfect. It's not about like
Yeah, well, I always turn
pleasing
around and
other
say
people
like
in particular.
you don't have to sound
Oh man, like
tuned perfectly.
Well, it's
you
when
just need a good style, a good
Yep.
original
well,
style. Like you
dude-
listen to Bob Dylan,
yeah,
he had his
And
own
you listen-
twang.
and
Yeah,
you
man.
slight bits off tune, but like that's what
yeah,
made
man. Like
But
you listen
yeah,
to those old
yeah.
blues guys, man. Like you
Yeah.
listen to like John Lee Hooker,
Yeah,
Junior Kimbrough. You listen to those guys, right? Like technically speaking, not great musicians, but they're fucking incredible musicians because they got so much
Passion
character
and,
and
yeah.
soul coming through, just unfiltered.
Yep.
And that's what it's about. Like when people like trying to make something perfect. I mean, yeah, I appreciate good production values. I really do.
Yeah.
If we can get Junior Kimbrough and fucking sparkling, like perfect audio, that'd be great. But we don't. Like, it's not the point though. Like, it's people can get like it's a balance between you got to have intellectual knowledge of music and you got to have intellectual knowledge of using your gear.
yeah,
But if you don't have any heart, there's no point.
yeah,
There's no point at all.
yeah, yeah. And it comes in the songs. Like you can sing it pitch perfect, but if there's no feeling
Yeah.
or phrasing behind it, and there's no change in melody, and
Yeah.
like Radiohead are brilliant at that. Even Coldplay, Like they constantly change the rhythms, the styles.
Radiohead, I love them, man.
Yeah,
Those are my favorite musicians because they're always evolving. They're always learning. They're
all
always
their albums are
pushing
completely
themselves.
different.
Have you heard the Suspirium soundtrack with Tom York? It might be Suspiria. The song might be Suspiria.
How long ago was that?
Not long. 6 months, a year ago or something.
Oh,
anyway, amazing, beautiful music, and you compare it to But what if Tom York was still doing Creep? What if he's still trying to? He's like, oh, that worked. That got us some album sales.
Yeah,
Let's
they
do
were
that
pretty
again.
impressive. Hey, they
They'd
got
just be
thrown money.
stuck.
Then they came out with OK Computer. No, it was the band's then OK Computer.
Yeah,
And then just-
Amnesiac and Kid A.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah, just discovering themselves really. It's a journey.
Experimenting.
All
You
their
got to
albums.
experiment as well.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I mean that's it. Like
even now, I like the Rainbows album is one of my favorites.
yeah.
And then you've got some more from there. But I'll listen. It's nice to listen to a full album as well, not just a couple tracks. And it's quite hard. You have to really be in the moment or in the mood to just sit down.
You gotta have some drive time, or you gotta have the house empty.
Yep.
You know?
You can just sit, listen, and relax. Nothing.
Yeah.
That's what I really like about Arctic Monkeys as well.
Yeah.
I love that
Albums
last
just
album.
progress. Oh man.
That concept, I loved the concept behind it, and it also, I loved how there was also this quirky kind of sense of humor to that album.
Yeah.
Like the concept album is that there is a hotel casino on the moon, and all the character, all the people, like when he's singing the songs, he's singing as a character from that situation.
Yeah.
Like he's a
All the
lounge
different
bar singer.
perspectives.
Yeah.
It's incredible, and it's just got this real quirky, offbeat, sci-fi 60s sense of humor. I don't know. I can't. It's a great album. It's great.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. Like I had to listen to it a few times to fully.
Taqueria on the roof. It was you put a taqueria, like a taco bar, on the roof of the hotel casino. It's just,
Do you remember I remember going after work, and you'd go into I think back then it was HMV, and there was a couple
Sanity?
but there was a
CD
couple
stores.
smaller pocket ones, like original boutique music shops, and they'd have album launches. So you go there and they put the CD in, and you just sit there in a circle,
The listening
like
party.
a cult, and you just go la la la. You're listening to it, and everyone's all quiet. But then you go in, and then it's almost like looking at the records. But then you're going through all the CDs, and then they got the shirts around and memorabilia or whatnot. But then you discover artists, and then you'd feel like you've just found this golden treasure. Because you've found, oh my gosh, no one knows him. He's an indie guy. He's mine. And then all of a sudden you start listening to it, and then you go, this one's fantastic. And then you start giving it to other people, recommending, and then obviously sometimes they end up being picked up, and then they become huge. But you feel like you got a sense of accomplishment, like I found him. It was me. I did it.
Yeah.
But what it really is that you're exploring. You're going into a place. You're checking out. You're actually looking tangibly.
Not just listening to the
where now it's
I have those because I can't really.
But then again, I
afford
don't really go out and do that now. But then again, where do you?
Oh, dude,
Spotify.
I have the same.
Yeah,
Dude, I go for music journey discoveries on YouTube, Spotify. There's some shit on YouTube that isn't on Spotify.
And
some sort of more obscure stuff, or stuff.
but where do you go to the parties? You can't have a launch party night. You can have a YouTube.
I think the music industry is like.
A lot of bands are doing it these days, where it's like
They
the
are.
listening
you got to do
party,
it
listening
grassroots,
party.
man. Yeah,
Or is it just send a link and then you all go down and do the webinar?
Or it's like we're going to be at this location at this time.
Okay, so I'm not in with the cool kids.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
I've
I'm
only last one I heard of was Bon Iver,
Okay.
and it was like super
Listen
underground.
to you. Listen, he's got the contacts.
Listen to this though. It was through like a 1980s cassette player, and it was just down an alleyway in Melbourne. So it was like
so it's
super
Melbourne.
underground, like super.
So Melbourne, if you want to host us, we're happy to do that.
We'll
We're
jump
happy to
in.
come down and
Yeah. Aaron's going down tomorrow.
Yeah.
coffee time. So you
Speaking of Melbourne and music, though, I had this
Melbourne music and coffee.
Oh man,
Yeah.
like the music
Big
culture down
Yeah.
there is very different to up here. Like if you go out, if you go out here around to a bar or whatever, and there's music, he's generally in the background strumming songs that everybody knows, aka Wonderwall, all that stuff. But when I went down to Bennett's Lane Jazz Club, I sorted it out because there's no jazz clubs up here, and I went there, man, and what I really appreciated was that everybody there was listening to the music. They weren't yelling at each other and talking to each other while someone made music in the background. They were all sitting there listening.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was such a difference in culture.
I always found it like if someone I was watching or performing and everyone's just doing their own thing and then you were like singing and that was one of the things that I was like nervous performing. That's why I only did it like twice, 3 times. And then I got massive like stage fright.
Yeah, dude, I've had that as well. Because I've done some singing in public.
Never
and
really,
nerve-wracking, man.
Never really went back to it.
Particularly singing, even
like
I find way more comfortable standing up playing guitar in front of people, or mixing beats or whatever, than I do singing. Like, it's something very like vulnerable and naked about singing.
It is like I realized the only thing I realized later on was confidence. Like as soon as you show that you. Because I found when I was playing, I'll be looking at everyone in the crowd.
Yeah.
And then their eyes were like bored. And then all I could think of was all the insecurities in my head going, they don't like the song.
Yeah.
They think I'm a crap guitarist. They think my voice is terrible. Oh, they hate the song. And then there's one guy going, and then the rest of them was just like crap. Yeah. And then it was just feeding to the insecurity. But if I closed my eyes and just really sang with power and presence, it could have been a different outcome. And then I realized whenever you watch someone, they're usually like full on confident, but emotionally, just putting it out there. And then the crowd somehow gets a feel of that, and then they're into it as well. So that's the connection I found. That obviously takes practice. Yeah. Like, was it the Doors, James Morrison? He was put his back towards them for a couple of shows.
So did Hendrix.
And I think Ray Charles. He I don't know. I think that's I might have mixed up one up. He blindsided.
He didn't need to turn his back. He couldn't fucking see.
I just found that one out. Yeah. I'm sure. Yeah. But so I just obviously with the practice it'd be a bit easier, to do that. And
I was shocked.
But saying it to like a crowd or like people drinking, like your friends or something. There's quite a few of. I just play and sing. No issue, because they were like, everyone's like giving the guitar around and everyone's playing. Yep. It was quite a cool group, and the next minute I played one of my songs and they thought it was like a Paul Murray or Pete Murray. They thought it was a Pete Murray song, and I was like, no, it was mine. I was like, yeah, bullshit. Yeah. Do it again, okay, baby. And off I went, and then that's when I was like, maybe I'm not as bad as I think I am. Yeah, and then I used that song, took it on stage. Bombed
according to who though?
Yeah, that's right.
Exactly.
Yeah,
this was in London, by the way. So I went to London and.
I've done an impromptu performance in Glasgow at a bar once. To get up there. Yeah,
it's like one of those improv. Find muso nights or whatever they're called.
But that's the thing, man. Like music's an art form, yeah. So it is and it isn't it really? Because like in a certain sense, music is like. It's used in a variety of different ways. It's like, sometimes it's not bad. It's okay to just have someone doing sing-along covers. There's songs that everybody knows. Everybody can get in on the action. Yeah. The sense of unity or whatever.
I don't have that skill set.
Well, neither do I. I'm not really like a covers musician who can command an audience like that. I don't have that sort of... But, like I sing and I've done some gigs where I sing and stuff, and it was a long journey, man, because I used to be so incredibly shy to even speak to people.
Yeah.
When I was like about 12, I was mortified to even speak to a person. Like I was just so shy. And then like you start singing and your voice is all tight and shaky, and then you just loosen up, and then you just realize, hey, maybe I never will be as great a singer as fucking as Jim Morrison or Sinatra or whatever. And then you just realize it doesn't matter. Yeah. I'm just who I am, and I'm just singing my song, and that's when it becomes better, and you stop trying to be someone else.
Because the one thing I read recently was like, if you live your life for an audience, that's when you make the mistake. Like, and it's so true. Like you jump on your phone, you put something up, like, now give me the dopamine hit,
approval,
give me the likes, And you know,
Yeah.
we're all in for that. But and then
Validation.
you put that down. Then you play the music, and you're going, will they like that? Will they like this? Will this put me on?
Can't
But
do
then
that.
and then he's like, hang on a minute, take all that away.
Yeah.
Why are you playing? You
At
play because you enjoy it. Because when you play a song,
Yep.
you're in the moment, and you get a great hit of dopamine. You're feeling good, or serotonin, whatever it is.
Good mix of both.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then next minute you go, oh, I actually accomplished something. You
Mhm.
feel creative,
Well,
and
that's
it
it.
gives you
Yeah,
a buzz.
At the end of the
And then
day,
you're
you've
not
only
just-
got to live with yourself. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what.
But that's
It's
it.
so
like,
hard to come to terms with, though,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah. Man, sometimes like you got that dopamine hit you're talking about, that sense of accomplishment. I'll get that when I make a song by myself. I
Yeah.
listen back to it. Like I'm
Yeah.
just like,
No, yeah, I
you
used to
done
get that
something right.
too. I used to get that.
Yeah, it's like I
You
like
go,
the.
oh
there's
my
this-
god, it's like a painting. You finish
Yeah.
a painting, you're
Yeah,
look at that.
there's that big. That's this painter.
The
Yeah.
accomplishment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's this painter. His name's Alex Gray. Yeah, psychedelic painter. He's done artwork for Tool
Yeah,
and stuff. He's
yeah,
a cool,
yeah.
great artist. But he said something which is this one line that really stuck with me. He said, like art is hard to define, and still this doesn't even really define art, but it's sort of in the right direction. He says that the purpose of art is to make the soul perceptible. And I just thought, yeah, that's so true, man. Like if you're doing it in order to get likes,
Yeah.
to get
yeah.
applause, like, are you truly expressing yourself? No, you're probably hiding most of yourself. Like, and when you truly, like, genuinely, authentically, and even spontaneously express yourself, people feel that. They connect with that. And that's when you have genuine connection and genuine experiences.
When you make yourself vulnerable.
Yeah, and then someone's
That's
like,
so
it's
hard
like
though,
we're
isn't it?
saying,
Oh,
man,
man.
like you read
Like
poetry
incredible.
from
Just-
thousands of years ago, and you're like, that dude's feeling what I'm
Yeah.
feeling.
Yeah.
And that's that connection. But you can't, if you've just got that, if you're not being genuine in how you expressing yourself, you're never going to have genuine connection.
Yeah.
There's nothing for anyone to connect with.
Mm.
It's just a facade.
Yeah, that's where the cover bands and stuff like that, you just...
Yeah, I got mixed feelings.
They're just
about
like-
all
they're
that,
just-
man.
I mean, you know,
people-
they're-
It's a good time, but it's like going
Yeah.
to the...
I guess they're just doing it for
It's like
you know,
pushing
a
a
bit
button on a
of
jukebox.
bit of fun on it.
Bit of money,
Man, I
bit
don't
of
know,
fun.
Don't you think it's just like
It depends
they're
on the
doing their 9 to
individual.
5, or that
Mm.
might be their job,
Yeah.
but they're doing 9 to 5, and then it's like, oh, I get to unleash from family. This is my way out, and they enjoy it, and that's their
Yeah.
thing. Like I don't, and they're probably making stuff on the side as well.
Man, I'm not going to
They
shit
just
on anyone
don't.
who does that. Like,
Like I think it's pretty cool. Like
yeah,
you know,
I
they,
can't do that.
they make an extra. I don't know how much money they make, but they make something extra quid. Like that's a pretty good way to make it and have fun with friends. You're hanging out with your mates, and but they're probably doing something on the side.
Yeah.
Oh, their
Maybe.
own music.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
Or-
I know.
or maybe
I know
it's just that,
musicians.
yeah,
like I've got
so
a
I
mate,
don't
like Dave Murray.
Yeah.
Shout out to Dave Murray, great musician.
Yeah.
He does covers in like pubs and restaurants and stuff, but whenever he does, there's his own unique individual character is imbued in it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Like so, he does is genuine. Like,
Yep.
and he does his own stuff as well. So people can sort of like they can balance that sort of like music as a social thing.
Yeah.
Like music is a thing that brings people together socially, like, you know, aka Strum and Wonderwall, or, you know, music which is about expressing
A story.
your innermost feelings. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And, you know, and there is definitely like, there's no black and white line between the two. It's very much a gradient.
Mm. So how did you said you went to you were teaching soccer or
Yeah, so mainly just to like family, friends. It was never like a coach of a team or anything like that,
yeah
but like friends who have kids and that sort of a thing.
yeah
Because when I was younger, went to like an Argentinian instructor. So
cool
yeah,
You
so
know they're good if they're from South America.
yeah, that's exactly right. And he taught us things that like I was going through mazes
the
blindfolded.
Argentine tango on
Yeah,
the ball.
yeah, like
Dun,
blindfolded.
dun,
and
dun,
you've
dun,
gotta get
dun,
out.
dun, dun, dun.
I got like one flamenco lesson from a
And it was always
Argentinian dude.
playing in the background. The
I love
flamenco.
flamenco. I
Yeah.
started like flamenco for like three to 6 months.
Mm.
The teacher, he was really cool, but super hard. Makes you learn in front of the mirror,
Yeah, man. That's
and on top
technique.
of that, it was like
I hate looking at myself.
I loved it. No, so your hand had to be a certain angle,
Yeah.
and it was all scales.
Uh-huh.
All scales for a whole year,
Uh-huh.
and then finally he'd give me a few little
Because
tidbits.
that gets your hand moving. Like,
Yeah,
ready to
because you
jump
have to
around.
do it. You need to
Yeah.
do it. And at the start, when you go,
But your mind and your heart's going to be engaged as well.
Mhm.
you know?
But yeah, he did that. Then the patterns of your hands. But the sad thing is, we sort of stopped and only played up to that level. But yeah, that was one thing, because I thought, well, if I'm a bad singer, I could at least do flamenco around town. And then that was one thing I was like, oh, that would be so cool even now. I was like, damn, you know, there's so many good songs you could do on flamenco. You only need yourself and maybe someone else maybe. But that was always one. But yeah, I'm sorry, I was just so yeah, but he was brilliant.
Yeah.
Really, really good. Really, really good.
Love
Taught me a
flamenco,
lot.
man. Well, first of all, like, the reason I make music is because I love so much different kinds of music.
Yeah.
Like, I get a little bit bored of listening to any one kind of music. Doesn't matter what it is. Any one kind I get kind of bored with. And I'm pretty bored, to be honest, of anything which is on the radio, because it's all very formulaic. It's all very predictable. So that gets a bit boring. So I generally go looking for something more interesting. And man, like, I started off playing like classical flamenco style.
Yeah.
Really being into like Paco de Pena and
Paco de Pena.
yeah, stuff
Paco
like
de
that.
Lucia.
Yeah. Those guys and
Yeah, I really like Paco Pena.
he's a
Paco de
ledge.
Lucia, he was amazing.
Did you ever see that Paco Pena with Al Di Meola and John McLaughlin, like the three of them together? Like the acoustic guitar, classical guitar, that is the peak. It doesn't get any better than that. So like for me as well, like looking for like not only like, I just wanted to be interested. I want something new. I thought when I want to make music, I don't want to I could dedicate my life to being as good a guitar player, flamenco style, as Paco de Pena. I could probably maybe reach it, maybe. But that's like not really what I'm interested in doing. I want to like
it's nice
do something that's no one's done before.
Yeah, do your own thing.
Like that's the thing.
Yeah.
That's the thing, man. Like,
well, that's part of the journey, though, isn't it? You start off on one, like you learn the Beatles when you start, then you progress up to certain songs that you really like, and then you might go into like flamenco or Spanish or classical. Then you might deviate again, go into the blues, and then the blues you go, actually, I might
you
try
gotta
some jazz,
experiment all that,
and then you got the bossa nova, and then there's so many cool stuff, and then it never stops.
Dude, and then you start to realize that you go beyond your own culture, and you realize that other cultures that don't even use like they don't even have like a 12-note octave. They have like microtonal systems. They don't even have like scales. They have melodic structures like in Indian classical music and Hindustani music. Totally different. And like I liken it to like if you're just having the same music all the time, it's just like having the same meal all the time. It's just like you have the music from the same culture all the time. It's just like chicken and chips, But
you get good at chicken and chips.
You can get pretty damn good. You get some pretty damn good chicken.
Damn, I'm so good at my chips, boys.
Your chips are going to be crunchy.
Excellent chips, man. But sometimes you want some curry,
No, it's not.
Sometimes you just want something Mexican.
So what happened to your lessons, or the Argentinian lessons?
They just like, I was a very good
So
player.
how old were you?
I would have been 9.
So you started at 9 and then you...
Did it for like 3 years through this Argentinian guy. That was just on the side as well. Like,
So you played at school or out of school?
At school, at club, and then did this guy a couple of nights a week as well.
Okay, cool.
Did that guy a couple of nights a week?
Yeah, man, he loved it.
I bet.
But yeah, he taught me things that like when I was going to normal training, no one else knew. Like things that I was doing, it was just like so foreign to him.
Sorry,
it was crazy.
He taught me things. I was like,
he opened my mind.
Don't go there. Sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry.
you got
So he taught you some.
Well, yeah, like going through mazes blindfolded with a soccer ball. At
Oh,
your feet,
wow.
And you've got to get out the other side, and if you
Wow.
don't, then you're
That's
punished.
weird. That's
yeah.
like some
That's
Karate
next
Kid
level.
shit.
Yeah, like there are things on the side so you can follow through like this, but you have no idea where the ball is. Like
That's pretty awesome. So you did that for 3
That's
years, and
interesting,
then
man.
what?
And that
12,
was-
13.
yeah. So like coming out the other side, just like different representative footballs, I ended up injuring myself, and it kind of ended my run.
How old were you when that happened?
20.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, 19.
Did
20.
you come close to like the professionales?
Yeah, it was always a goal,
Yeah.
but yeah, like closest. I was studying at the time, like
Yeah.
so.
It was on the horizon.
It was on the horizon,
But that.
and then it was like a 3-year recovery.
Oh, yeah.
So by the time that I recovered, there was really no chance of me
yeah.
getting back in because I'd passed the prime,
Yeah,
Not
the age
prime.
group.
Yeah. But
That sucks.
100%. But I learned to deal with that, and now passing that on. So like family friend, he's got a 7-year-old now,
Yep.
and I've been teaching him for a few years now.
Oh, cool.
Because like I've only just moved down to the Goldie from Brisbane.
Yep.
Yeah, so teaching him, and now he made like Barcelona Academy.
What?
Yeah. And now he's playing under 9s when he's like turning 7 this year, but he's like destroying in the under 9s divisions.
How do you do that at such a young age?
And he's so
That's amazing.
He's so small as well.
He's going bom, 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 bom.
Yeah.
I reckon you grow into your sport.
100%.
Apart from Muggsy Bogues.
But
But
yeah, dude, that guy's never gonna grow.
but I think evolution-wise,
I
you
like
grow
that
into
we
your
all know
sport.
who that is.
Yeah.
I know, yeah.
I feel like
Because I knew as soon as I say it, there's always going to be someone, well, what about this guy?
Yeah.
But I think evolution-wise, you end up growing into your sport. Like if you look at a rugby guy, they tend to start to become quite big. Usually.
For sure.
Usually. Obviously,
Otherwise
a lot of training,
Yeah.
a lot of training.
It's like survival
nutrition,
of the fittest,
That's why-
really.
that's
Like,
why
you
if
and
you
me
aren't a
becoming
big boy,
weapons.
weapons of mass destruction.
you boys and
Yeah.
your,
Soccer.
you boys and your BJs.
Me and Tolly are just becoming just
White belts. We're just white belts.
just
Don't come and hurt us, please. We know nothing.
Yeah, no, that,
I know a few kettlebell moves. That's about it.
Mm-hmm. Swang it round.
Yeah, swing around. Yeah, it's pretty. That's a cool thing about obviously the internet. You get to so easy to find new techniques, new styles, new forms of training, and it's just amazing amount
and
of
new inspiration.
yeah, it's
Like,
constant.
for me,
Sometimes too much though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
You
I
don't
have
know
to
you don't know
turn
where
that
to
off.
start, where to stop.
Sometimes now I'm at the point now I'm like, I don't need to know anymore. That's enough. I just need to tell myself to just do it.
Yeah.
You know, just stop putting up the roadblocks and just do it.
But I need to learn more. I need to research more.
Yeah, that's a problem. You research too much. Like
Yeah.
even this stuff was research. But technically, I could have just used a camera.
Well, that's it.
And,
Sometimes
but
just
just
gotta
wouldn't have
jump
been as
straight
nice
in.
as this.
At the
Yeah.
end of the day, failure
is
is your
some-
best teacher.
This is
Yes.
nice audio.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I guess you know it was always in their head. But you got to start somewhere and just do it. But this was always in my head visually. It just and it happened. Like you know the camera finally, the gear finally turned up.
And the space too.
Yeah, like that was out of nowhere. Thank you, Rihanna.
Oh, it's
Thank
so
you.
nice.
It's
eh?
amazing.
That is, yeah. And the name, Crema and Grind, Jade. Thank you, Jade.
Oh, really?
it.
I didn't know that. Yeah, cool.
Yeah. I was trying to come out of these crap names. And
What were your
Oh
names?
man, honestly, like I've
they
been
were
in
crap.
bands trying to come up with band names,
Yeah.
and I swear to God, in the age of the internet, every name is taken.
Yeah.
Yes.
I made up words.
Yep.
I made them up off the top of my head and Googled them, and they were already bands.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty tough. Like,
Yeah.
you know, but no, Jade came up with it, and she's always got a way with coming up with cool names. So then she came up with it. And I was that could go for anything: Crema and Grind, rock and roll. Obviously, it's coffee, and then because I was trying to work out how to actually put it together. If I was going to do a podcast, but I want to talk about everything, not just coffee. Do I then do another one, another one, and then it just gets a bit weird.
Coffee is a
Too
great
much.
gateway drug.
It is.
Oh, we're hitting that up
Gets
now.
people talking.
Well, it
I
does.
like
Like,
it.
yeah, for sure. Like as I said, it's the first thing that wakes you up. It hits my brain. The neurons are connected, and then I'm lasered in.
Ready
like,
to go.
Like I can study. I
Mate,
can
I
do it
don't-
all.
Ready
I
for
don't
number
do-
two.
But,
I don't do anything without coffee.
but
Yeah.
archery. So when did you do archery?
So archery came after I injured myself. And I began studying journalism and creative writing because I had nothing else on the horizon.
Yep.
And from that,
How old were you then?
22. I've been
And
studying for 4
at that
5
point, what
years.
were your favorite writers?
Oh man, I've always really admired Hunter S. Thompson, but that's a
Ooh.
classic.
Yeah.
Shout,
everyone loves
love
him.
HST.
Love him, man. He
Yeah.
just got such a perspective that no one else has ever.
He
Is
had
that
really
leaving
such
Las
a-
Vegas? That one.
He had
Yeah.
such a
Leaving Las
savage, sharp wit.
He
man.
did,
Man, he had
and
a-
he didn't care.
Did you see his
he
cocktail
he
of-
spat it out.
His cocktails morning.
That was
morning
a bit of an
afternoon
inspiration
routines.
to me as well when I was
My
in my
God.
20s. His
No wonder.
Yeah,
it's-
you can look up his diet and it's
Yeah,
like
man.
cigarettes, gin, like
I was like,
cocaine,
it's a wonder that I'm
cigarettes.
actually reached my 30s because when I was in my 20s, my inspirations were like Hunter S. Thompson, Jim Morrison, Jack Kerouac, Jimi Hendrix, pretty much anyone who was just burning their fuse bright and short. I was
Yeah.
like, I want to follow that path.
Yeah.
Which is no path.
Yeah,
So-
for sure.
So you got into archery. You got into
Yeah, I've just had so many different interests, hey, and they don't really line up at all.
yeah.
Archery came about because I used to like through my family friends, they run a camp on the Sunshine Coast, a summer camp, a holiday camp.
Yep.
And I used to go there as a kid, but as I finished, like they needed instructors, and I was like, I've always been all right at this. Like I might as well give it a go.
Yeah.
Then I went and got my certificate, and I came back and was instructing there for.
Certificate do you get to be an archery instructor?
Well, there's different levels to it, so I got level 3. Like,
Oh wow.
Oh, so it's like a
3.
national accreditation system.
So where
Yeah, it is.
So where can you do it here?
I'm not sure, but like there are archery clubs and ranges and that sort of a
Yeah.
thing. So I'm sure you could do it there.
We just bring up. We're not going to say bring up Jamie. We're going to have
No.
our own Jamie.
I ain't doing that.
I ain't doing that. Oh, cool, man. We need.
I know there's one at like Wollumbar,
Yeah.
and there is one.
Should we have an archery day?
I'd be down
I'm
for it.
down.
eh?
I'll bring
so
that.
down. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll show you how it's done.
We'll go to the archery. I'll take some footage,
Mm.
bring us with us,
Mm.
and then we'll come back and do a podcast about
Which
it.
brings
Yeah.
me to another. Yeah, I want to learn some archery, man. I want
'Cause
to
I
learn.
did-
We're gonna
do-
go hunting.
Yeah.
Hang on a minute. Okay, so
This is what we want. This
All
is
right,
what
just real quick.
Yes.
So my girlfriend's brother-in-law grew up on a farm as a cattle killer. You know, like herding cattle, but also cutting them open and skinning them and that sort of a thing. So
I always say, as human beings have
Hey,
for
have to.
millennia
Hey,
before
hey,
we
hey,
got to
just
this
calm down,
point
guys,
where
all right?
everything's in
Calm down, all right?
plastic.
Just launch your stuff with me. Just calm. Put the missiles away.
Oh, but we've got an in to know how to, get the flesh apart.
Well, that's it,
because that's
man.
one of the biggest things.
Okay, there's a couple of things. I'd much prefer that method
Mm-hmm.
than going into a butcher and then it's already done and then there's
Yeah.
mass. And what I've
It's so
noticed now when
bad.
I got getting older, as we all are,
Mm.
is when you see them in a truck and they've been herded to the slaughterhouse.
Yeah.
That you go, oh,
Mm.
that there's a connection now. Where before you just turn up, there's a bit of, obviously
Yeah.
but there wasn't much of a connection,
Didn't really
especially
think
when you're
about it.
working out. So you're working out. I need the nutrients. Give me the protein. Give me this. Give me that. And then eventually you realize, hang on, I don't need that much food. But then you go, hang on, the meat, is it really good for us? Is it not good for us?
Yeah. What's
Is
the
this?
quality of what's
And
gone into it?
Yeah, and then you go, does that give you whatever? But I've always been interested in going, well, if I am going to eat it, it would be good to just have that one animal
Mm-hmm.
that you've done your ceremony, you've said thank you for your life,
Yeah.
and you appreciate it. It would be bloody hard. Like I couldn't imagine
Oh, it
doing
would be.
it, but
But
if
See,
I
man,
knew,
that's like-
I wouldn't take a bloody photo with it either.
yeah.
But I'd at least cry for it. Thank you very much.
Mm.
And then
Yeah, you
every
realise-
time I'm eating it, you're going to remember.
Yeah, you realise the price that is paid for
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
meat to come to
And
you
I think
rather
that's
than just
good
going
to
And
to a
you're not
store
going to
and-
overindulge. You're not going to overindulge and just
Yeah.
keep eating,
Yeah.
bye. Eating. Where like that'd be interesting. It'd be
we're so
interesting to
removed from
go
it.
Absolutely.
and see that and go, okay, I get it.
Mm.
Like it's easy to judge, but I mean, when you're actually out there doing it and seeing it,
Well,
how
like
does he
it's,
do
it's,
it?
it's not something that I would just go and hunt for the fun of killing something.
No,
It's
no,
something
no.
that like I don't want to buy meat from a store anymore because
Yeah,
the,
that's-
the,
Mm.
the,
Like, I
what is
didn't
it,
know
the
you could
global
act- that was
farming
even-
community.
Yeah, it was an open. There was an option for that, like here.
Mm.
Like I know in the States,
It's massive in
pretty
Australia.
big.
Yeah,
Jeez
yeah.
Louise.
So
You know what we-
there are really no seasons for a lot of animals within Australia. You can go hunting at any time of the year for certain animals.
So is this where archery
See,
comes
that's
in?
the
And there are
thing,
no
yeah.
areas
Is this your
like
archery
certain
coming in?
things.
Mm.
Yeah, like I've thought
That's
about
it.
this a lot.
That's it.
Little
No, I'm
Rambo.
following you. Like
Yeah.
Rambo Lockie.
Yeah.
Lockie
It's
and
No,
good,
when
Rambo.
I was
You
about
see something off in the distance, you're like, yeah, I
I
could
could do
get
that.
you.
Yeah. See, that's it. Like, I mean, we're really far removed from the realities of real
Yeah,
life, man. Like,
100%.
we're very specialized. Like, I have a job just making coffee all day, man. Like,
Yeah, I'm on the
I don't
computer
even
all day.
make multiple beverages. I make one kind of drink all day.
yeah.
You know, we're very far removed from like the realities of life. But I remember growing up on farms and seeing like just dead animals around. It was just normal. Like, it is normal. But yeah, I agree that the factory farming we have is cruel.
Right.
So what I
Yeah.
did
It's
was I just
also
stopped eating meat, but it
terrible.
wasn't good for my. I'm not going to tell everybody else they have to eat meat. Everyone's
Yeah.
different, but my body did not cope well without meat, and I was off it for a few years. Man, I'm like 190 centimeters. I was down to like 60 kilos. Now I'm like 80. But yeah, like we're so far removed. It's cruel, that factory farming.
Yeah, it is.
But what's the alternative? The alternative is either hunt for yourself or pay extra for organic meat or kangaroo, because kangaroo here is
Yeah, I've-
game.
I've started to eat a little kangaroo.
Yeah, they
I
run
always
around
think like,
free and then
could I actually, when I'm buying it, I always think, could I kill you and eat you? And that's the one of the questions. Now, but kangaroo, mate, they're like a jumping dog. You know, you go,
Or like a big rabbit.
yeah, more so a rabbit. Yeah,
It's like a deer.
but
on
geez, you see one of those red. you look a red kangaroo in the eye, and you're like, oh.
They're massive, man.
Yeah.
I would not want to mess
Even
with
soon
one.
They
as
got like
as
the
a-
big pecs coming out.
And they're just sitting there looking at you, going, "What do you want? What do you want? You want
Yeah.
some of this?
You want to eat me? Come on, have a
Yeah,
go.
try your BJJ, white belt."
You talking shit?
You would, man. I get intimidated by kangaroos in real life.
Well, you go in
They're
just
incredible
around the
specimens.
corner at Currumbin. You go down there and you go into the little sanctuary there, and obviously you just oh
They're
my
all
gosh,
locked in.
oh my gosh,
Yeah.
Did you guys hear about the rooster dropping epidemic there at the Currumbin Wildlife Sanctuary?
What?
So people for years, I'm sure they still do.
allegedly.
Well, I lived on the Gold Coast as a
Allegedly.
kid, and allegedly it happened from ours.
Okay,
But people would just go, and if they found a rooster in their bats, they would just go and throw it over the fence down there rather than kill it. Throw it over at the wildlife sanctuary.
and see what happens.
Yeah, well, they're like, we don't want to look after it, but we don't want to kill it, so we're just going to let it go. And they formed gangs, these roosters.
What?
Yeah, like not even joking. You can look this up. So these roosters form gangs. There's signs up now saying like, don't drop your roosters here.
Are you
Like,
serious?
So like,
Fucking gangs.
because
What
there
a
was,
specific sign. Please don't drop your roosters
I
here.
know.
this wasn't even a please. It was.
I got to bring this up. I got to check this up later.
because people would drop their roosters there, and the other roosters would just come out and destroy them. Like that's where the pecking order comes
Oh,
from.
so that's
What,
where
they
they
would
get
kill them?
The
cockfights
word
from.
pecking order comes from the fact that they're such brutal animals.
Oh, you're saying that the roosters would pick
attack
gangs?
the new ones.
Oh.
So the gangs of roosters that already existed would come up and just like mess up the newcomers and leave them for dead on the side of the road. Yeah, and it was becoming like
Wicked.
such a common thing that people would be at this park and
I
just
don't
find
feel so
dead
bad
roosters
about
on
eating
the
a
floor.
chicken
Are people
now.
like putting
Nah.
money on it and stuff like that, like cockfights?
Oh,
Oh,
you'd have
no,
to look-
that's-
you'd have
that's
to look deep
strapping
into that.
razor
That's
blades onto
pretty-
their ankles.
That's pretty nasty.
We're gonna drop
That's
these two
horrible.
in and see which one.
We'll
comes
talk
out
about
the
this
end,
later
so-
off air.
Yeah, that's horrible. But back to the hunting idea. That's
Yeah.
pretty interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
So what? You got the archery, and
Mm-hmm.
then whereabouts the hunting? I mean,
Well,
or potentially.
essentially, you've
Or
just got to
camping.
find good areas. Camping,
But
hunting.
whereabouts?
You
Uh,
ask farmers.
so we're-
Inland, yeah. So you can't.
So we're
hunt
here on
on
the Gold Coast.
You can't
We're-
hunt on public land unless it's certain animals. But the idea is like people with property, you go to them and you ask them or ask them
I
if
see.
you can pay for it.
So
or,
your friends or relatives or
yeah, or you just
even someone random.
yeah, like
'em
you
up.
just rock up at a property and say like
They might have a feral pig problem.
yeah.
They might be like, we've got too many pigs.
It's
we might
probably
have to
almost a
roos."
Gumtree thing now. Like you jump on.
Oh,
like-
really?
I don't know, but the
Yeah.
world that we live in, I'm sure there is
Yeah,
some
true.
way you could just search like
that's a
where
completely
can I hunt?
foreign land to me. I haven't had any.
Gumtree.
But there's
Any-
there's
No.
things like wood ducks and rabbits. You can hunt at any time at any any place. There's no penalty. You can go down the beach at night and shoot rabbits. Like it's full
Fuck,
on.
can you just let off guns on the beach?
No. This is a bow and arrow.
Oh, yeah.
So with firearms, it'd be different.
Yeah,
like
that you have to have a
automatic.
license for all that. And
What
Yeah,
about,
yeah,
what
no,
about
you
like
wouldn't be able to shoot in
grenades
public.
and-
But
Okay, I think you're going
also
to
you need
Navy
to be
SEAL
a-
territory here.
You need to be a member of an archery club. That's like your permit to hunt.
Oh, really? That's
so
pretty
if you're
cool.
a member of a club,
That's pretty permissive. I
Yeah.
like that. And
How
you know,
about- how
that
about we
makes
just go
sense because no
camping?
one's going to go on like a no one's going
down
to go
for
on
it.
like
I haven't
a
done a camp trip for a while, so
Mm.
that'd be pretty cool.
yeah. I mean, but that makes sense that it let you do archery as opposed to firearms because no one's going to go on a mass killing spree with an arrow. You shoot someone and then like you're loading up, and by the time you knocked up someone,
I don't know.
else's-
If I did, I'd be like Legolas. You know, I'd be pretty swift shot. Although
I thought you said legless, like leglessly drunk. And I'm like, how's that going to help, mate?
this is Lord of the Rings, bro. Come on, get
Legolas,
it
yeah.
together. Get it
Mate, you
together.
know who you're dealing with. I'm a geek here. I've read the Lord of the Rings like at least twice.
Tolkien.
Yeah, mate.
Tolkien.
I read the Silmarillion.
The
I'm that much of
gods.
a geek.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's ultra geek territory when you're reading the Silmarillion.
Oh, that is super,
That's super geeky.
super geek.
Yeah, I didn't get laid when I was 10.
was that your choice or was that religious?
I don't know, maybe.
I'll say it's,
Well, yeah, no, it would have been mostly religious.
Yeah.
Yeah, it took a
Oh,
while
yeah,
to
true.
deprogram.
You
Didn't
gotta
believe
throw
in
that into
sex
that.
before marriage.
yeah, that was big. Like even when I went to school, like I went to a Christian school, and my gosh, did they hammer that home?
Mm-hmm.
And
Well,
it was
we were
so
never the
bad.
only thing
and you
they're
had to-
hammering home.
boom, boom, shakalaka.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, sex ed wasn't a thing.
Well, we
didn't learn
actually-
anything
I
Sex
about
ed is
it.
don't do it.
Yeah, that's it. Like, if you do it, you're dumb. That's end of class.
I remember they did it. They were telling us
going to
about it, and they
hell.
said you only do it for this reason, to have a child, and it only takes like 5 minutes, and only this and only that. And I was like, oh, it's not like the movies
Sounds
then.
dumb.
Yeah. So then, but even there was a certain degree of that. Like, okay, well, I don't know. But then brainwashing. But I was always one to think, yeah, I don't know if I agree with any of yous. I'm just going to make my own decisions.
Yeah.
And I had that for a very young age, all the way through. And, it didn't help with my grades. It depends on what school I went
Yeah,
to.
well,
like
yeah.
one school I did quite well, and another school I didn't. And then I just, some schools the curriculum wasn't for me. I didn't really have a goal. So all I knew was I just wanted to stop going to school and then get a job and work my way through or find my passion and find what I like. But at that point, I was only really into sports.
And here we are.
And now it's evolved again.
Yeah.
Like different careers, different choices. And now, in my 30s, I finally decided to follow what I liked and had to make immersive sacrifices for that. And but no,
How is it when you're young? You know what you want to do, and everyone's like, "Nah, you can't do that."
Yeah, it's
Like,
like
I wanted to do music, and everyone's telling me that's not a real job. Musician is not a real job. Blah 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 blah. Blah. So what did I do? Got into hospitality. Hated being a cook for years, and wanted to make music. Why the fuck to listen to them? I don't know, because you're young. You don't know any better.
Well, that's right. You think they know better.
Yeah, no one knows better.
But that's where was Gary Vee back then, eh?
Who's Gary Vee?
Oh my gosh, how dare you, sir?
Please, sir.
No, he's just a fantastic entrepreneur who's just created great wealth, and he's putting massive positive messages out there. Telling people to focus on what you want to do and hone in on that. Don't get distracted by the noise and other people. So he's one of the first ones, I guess, that's actually comes out almost daily with way too much content. But he needs to, I guess, in a way.
Yeah.
Because he's got such a massive audience.
He's keeping entertained.
I guess, but also just motivate. Like, he's not like, I'll give you this, then you have to go to my seminar or anything like that. So he'll just give free knowledge and heaps of information. It's up to you to what you do with it. But the majority of it is just be kind to everybody, be optimistic. It's not going to happen overnight. It's a long haul game. You got to do the hard work. Shut your mouth and just do it. Learn and don't listen to all the negative stories. Like if someone's saying don't listen to your partner, don't listen to your family. You just got to go out there and actually do it and make the mistake and then learn from it and then grow. But he's a great entrepreneur who's like, investing. I forgot what they're called off the top of my head. They invest. No, not Bitcoin. He invested in like I think Twitter maybe but definitely invested in Facebook and got some money from that. He helped his parents' business turn into a multi-million-dollar business, and then from that he worked out he's quite good with his digital marketing, and he's just turned that on the head, completely turned it on its head.
One thing from the next has been
so he's
just
like
following what he wants to do. Yeah,
and he's just coming up with new trends and then now he's even doing sneakers and book deals, and he's got like a ghostwriter. He's just very clever, very very clever, and talking show. He does a lot of talks and so he's a very interesting guy, especially for digital marketing. But it's very rare for someone to come out and say be kind, be be nice. Where usually it's like
kindness is pretty underrated.
Oh, it is. It's massive. It's such a character
character
trait that I like look for.
I just love it when people are decent to each other, man. I just love that.
Yeah,
gets me choked up.
It's not a currency, so people don't search. People aren't invested in it.
Yeah,
Kinda.
Lots of people.
So we can't smoke in here, eh?
No, definitely not.
We should have more vaporizer.
Vapes. That could be
a vaporizer. Look, man. There's many
Is there anything left in that bag?
Your bag.
Yeah.
I don't know. Let's have a look.
And the drum roll, please.
There's one beer. Yeah, here you go, bro.
So we're sitting on 1 hour 40 minutes.
Oof.
Well, you're the ringleader here. So
hang on a minute.
Are there any notes we got to hit? Any topics we got to cover?
Toss up.
Manscaping.
Well,
What?
that hipsters don't do that. That's a year
grown-free.
2000 type thing.
Oh yeah, we're beyond that now.
No, we're pretty
Right.
much just talking a bit about the coffee
Mm.
and about I guess pop culture and
General
and we're-
stuff.
general.
Connections
General-
between beverages and culture.
Yeah, pretty
life.
much. And it's obviously very early on in the podcast and
Yeah.
trying to work out how to put it together and have decent conversations and
Get comfortable.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you can like have all these different guests. Who are you gonna have on?
well, that's the thing. Like, I'd have to get people to message.
Yeah, I can recommend.
But yeah,
couple of
so
people.
but it could be
Interesting.
so obviously
people.
there'll be like people with interesting stories and their passions. That's pretty much it.
Okay, I've got to.
but-
Before I forget, sorry, just to interject. You should have Craig Tuffin, the photographer, on.
Sounds good.
Yeah, he's an amazing photographer.
had
and
a pretty
artist.
crazy
He's
life.
got a bit of an interesting story about
Yeah.
how he
Where's
got into
he?
it too. He's around here.
Oh,
Yeah, he
sweet
comes into
as.
work.
At
all
the
the time.
moment, he goes over and does like exhibitions and workshops in China and stuff. where he's-
Holy hell, I'd love to chat to
he
him,
is a
man.
high level artist.
Yep.
man.
I might love to pick his brain and
Aaron's been a model for him a few times.
It's true.
nice. Okay, well that sounds pretty cool. Yeah, so basically like art, passions, stories, anyone who's got something interesting, and obviously there'll be more coffee baristas, entrepreneurs. So yeah, a bit of a mix.
Could even have
mixed
possible
bag.
Fight talks.
Yeah, and definitely
podcasts.
fight podcasts,
Yeah.
and comedians even,
Mm.
and even we'll go do things, come back and see what they're like.
Yeah, have a chat.
So we'll keep this as a regular crew,
Yeah.
and we can come back, talk coffee again, and even what's happening
Yep.
in our day-to-day lives. So
Didn't even get
yeah,
into
sounds
martial
cool.
arts.
Oh man.
so martial art,
Me and-
That's a
me-
3-hour conversation, right?
So
there.
we're
Being
out-
told you're enthusiastic, but I'm particularly
142.
unskilled.
You can just open another one. So
I got to show you guys a video after this. Please
yeah.
remind me.
Sounds
All right.
very dubious.
All right, we'll probably
Mhm.
just kill it here, and
Kill it.
we'll be back with another one soon. But
Yes.
thanks for coming on, boys.
Thanks
and
for having us.
It was
Yeah, it's
awesome.
been
It's a
awesome.
pleasure.
It was
Enjoyed
awesome.
it.
Let's pound it.
Give me one of them. Fist me.
That's not the first time he said that.
and it won't be the last.
Yeah, just tell everyone I guess your social media.
Where
let
is Crema
follows.
and Grind going to be available?
That's a good point, actually. So
Where can people download it and
so
listen to it?
this will be going up on all the social media platforms. So iTunes, I'll be sending it through, I believe, on Anchor, and that will then filter out to all of the platforms everywhere.
Yeah, awesome.
So Google Play, Google Podcasts, and there's anywhere you can, I guess, download it. It'll also be on the website eventually, which I'm currently working behind the scenes. And then obviously through my social media, which at the moment is just Instagram, but this will go on YouTube and Vimeo very soon. And you can get me on Crema and Grind on my Instagram.
Is it AND or the symbol?
It's AND for the, it's Crema and Grind.
Yep.
And then also there'll be cremaandgrind.com.au,
Mm.
and the Instagram is Crema and Grind. So yeah, that's how you can find us. But yeah, there'll be more information on the in the description and so on.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
But yeah,
Nice.
Awesome.
you want to throw yourself out there,
Uh,
barista, writer.
Yeah, so writer, barista, just general enjoyer of life.
That's it.
Pun machine.
Fun.
He is.
Oh, yeah.
He
I
loves-
do like
oh,
fiddling with
he loves his
words.
And we're gonna have
puns.
to do like memes on your puns.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
cool.
could definitely do that.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll definitely do a fight companion type style,
Mm-hmm.
where we've got the white belts chatting about what's going on.
Pretending I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
that was a
That's a
good.
Kimura. No, it's not. That's not a Kimura. I don't know what you're talking about.
was a
I'm
good-
still on the
that was a
trans-
headlock.
I'm still on the translucent belt.
But that's the fun of it. So no, it'll be pretty cool. So yeah, thanks for tuning in, everyone, and
Yeah.
we'll be back.
Until next time.
Ciao.
Awesome.